and we're going to get an exciting close. Apple after the bell, Amazon after the bell. Definitely going to be exciting. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are too. And, you know, stay disciplined and make that money.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Hey guys, yeah, 2 o'clock. Welcome back. We will take you right through to those are earnings. In fact, monster earnings coming once again after market tonight. Happening right now, however, Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, I was going to call her Fed Chair. She was at one point Fed Chair and also had this effect on the market when she was Fed Chair. So Janet Yellen just wrapping up a press conference right now, but talking the market up, it would seem anyways, back to day highs right now before she walked off stage there, about 1.3% currently for the S&P, 1.1 for the Dow, about a full percent as well for the NASDAQ. What a recovery from what was looking, let's be honest, like a pretty negative start to the day until mid-morning when we got that nice reversal. Speaking of reversals down here, now 0.5% in the red for crude oil. It was up 2.5% at one point this morning, 5% for Bitcoin. Yeah, pushing 9+% for Ethereum right now. Very green board. How things have changed throughout the midday here. Right across the board, we're seeing individual names essentially that either reported or have some sort of news catalyst back to the downside. Everything else, though, nicely higher. This is the Communication Services Group. That's where you're going to find Meta today, hanging out at negative 6% on the day. Comcast here as well, down 8.25%. CHTR being dragged down after earnings as well. But the Communication Services Group, including Meta and the rest of these, the overall drag on the market, we would be a lot higher otherwise. This is the banking sector. Insurance companies getting hit a little bit off of individual earnings. These three up here were also earnings. Otherwise, the healthcare group, very positive, I should say, right across the board. Love reported 6.5% to the downside for Southwest, AAL being dragged down with it. Everything else, though, in the industrial sector, nicely positive. Same story for tech stocks. They were the first, in fact, to kind of reverse things today and go positive. Otherwise, though, pretty good afternoon shaping up after what we saw yesterday. If you remember, straight higher all afternoon on that Fed decision yesterday. If you were hiding under a rock, 75 basis points to the upside from Fed Chair Powell. Said all the right things during the press conference. We'll get another look at some key data coming up next week, in fact, for the overall market. But pretty quiet now until we get CPI, which is going to come in a couple of weeks. Hope your afternoon is going well. A couple of hours left, as we said, in a Thursday. I was just looking at a few comments still coming in from Janet Yellen, who was doing her best impression of when she was Fed Chair to prop up the market for the afternoon, and it seemed to be working very well. We'll get into a few things we were discussing in the pre-market this morning as far as opportunities go, because there was a ton of them, including some earnings names. Sean's going to kick things off right now with a look at one of his.
Meta. Yeah, it's going to be your trade of the day. And you guys want to talk about some mistakes that are made sometimes. And I think we learn the best from our mistakes. This trade of the day is brought to you by Day Trade the World, the #1 trading company in the world. So check them out, scan that, and see what they're all about. But okay, here's Meta. Look, today obviously down 6%. They came out with a bad report. It was bad, right? But what I was thinking was that maybe enough is enough, and we've heard the worst. We had the big Fed day yesterday, the largest day in the NASDAQ since April of 2020. So what do? I'm thinking long, baby, when I should have been thinking short. But look at this. This is the key level here that we actually drew up, and we actually put it on the sticky note. And if you look just real quick, this is 158, 157, right? You go back all the way to the 14th of July, where we were already back down here, where we bounced around 158, 157. We do have some bottom wicks down there, 154 and so on and so forth. Those didn't actually happen. And if they did, it was pre and post market, so we don't really care too much about it. So we're thinking today that maybe this 158 could be the bottom, and then we pull it back down. Maybe it's going to be 157, right? Did we ever expect it to be 156 or whatever that was today? Nah, that was yesterday on the move down for the earnings. So let's go have a look at what actually happened with Facebook, aka Meta. I guess the real name is Meta, to the downside. So this is where I really got a little silly with the trade, and I feel like this is where the lack of discipline comes into play one more time, because we should not have, like, I put a bid on here because it was the bottom of the range there on the pre-market, but whatever, man. The market has to open up to give me the ranges, and I said that over and over. I don't want to be trading any earnings name in the first couple minutes. We saw that with Google yesterday. Google topped 110.50, then 1 minute later was at, literally 1 minute later was at 108. So right there, that's $2 back and forth. You know, you get caught in that and it's a problem. So that's exactly the problem that happened today. So here we go, 161. But then by the time it comes in, you got long 161 and it just tanks all the way down. Well, if I'm long 161, hey, why not try 159? But Sean, your levels were at 158 and 157, but oh well, I'm in again. It breaks through 159 and we get out. So we start the day right away with like a $2, $2.50 hit, something like that. It's not on maximum shares, but we're saying to ourselves, why? We're saying self. Why are we long this name? But the problem is it continues to drop down. And then we're like, okay, now we're at 158. We can finally justify going long. So we let it fall all the way back in. The problem is there's 158 and in a straight line, like there's no green candles here, right? But what we do is we respect it again. We don't take 157 because we're like, oh my God, this is continuing to go to the downside. Boom, 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 boom. Just keeps on coming down. So we take a 156.50, then a 155. Remember what we talked about right here, these numbers coming down to 155. We didn't think that was going to happen, but it does. It comes right back in down there, and we have to wind up getting out. The good news here is we reloaded the long at that bottom because we finally saw, and this is like, finally, it starts, and maybe I should have taken these off, but you start to see some bouncing around down here. It's the first time that this move actually stops. So we sort of put on one of those Hail Marys, right? Aaron Rodgers, Hail Mary, that's for you, Neil, all the way down there at that bottom, 155. Then what starts to happen? And this is, again, big one, right? I see Neil shaking his head there. This is not Josh Allen and Stefan Diggs here, my man. There you go, to the down. But we don't have Devontae anymore, so we'll have to figure that out. There it is. We have your boy Sammy Watkins, though, Neil. Okay, all the way to the upside now, 155. And look at this. It's an explosion to the upside, but we don't make back what we lost. Why? Because as it's starting to come back up, we just start getting out because we're like, oh, relief is here. And then we just start hitting it out. Then we get another piece out at 157. Another piece at 157.50, another piece at 158. But remember, we're still long down here at 155. So these 158s kind of makes up for a lot of this. But again, it's not on the maximum share size, right? So as it's falling down, I'm like absorbing all these losses and then getting out at max pain. When you get out at max pain, you got to be able to hold it for a little bit of a move back. Thankfully, we do hold and wind up getting some out at 160 when we break back 160 back to the downside. So we wind up taking about a $5 winner. The only problem is we didn't have the whole piece. So it's your trade of the day, but the important thing to understand is if I just would have followed my own little rule here, then that trade that happens at 161, then again at 159, just would have never happened. So it would have made some of these hits a lot better. And then when we have that bottom finally, we're able to like sort of get back what we've lost. I don't think this was a trade where I could have ever made money today. I mean, the bias that I had was to the long side, which is completely wrong. So should have flipped over some shorts when we realized this was happening. However, we did pick that bottom, and then Meta did reward us for holding. So sometimes you get a little lucky on that one. Meta, not nearly as bad as it was at about 935. It's your trade of the day.
Here we go, back to the downside for Meta, back to the downside slightly here for the overall market after quite an impressive run back higher. Meta, top of that list this morning, coming off this earnings report. Make sure you grab that every single day before we come on at 8:30. We send it out for free if you were not aware. Hope everyone's doing well. Take a second, guys, smash the like before you get too far into things this afternoon. We'll talk a little bit about social media stocks in general here because the negative context coming off of this report from Meta brought down Pinterest, brought down Snapchat, even brought down Twitter a little bit in the pre-market here, all of which have recovered, including this one. Snapchat now 0.8 to the upside, but we're kind of rolling over right across the board. So coming off that report, guys, social media stocks across the board following Meta today.
Ooh, that
yeah, and I'm just going to start off by saying one thing. Aaron Rodgers has had a fantastic NFL career. But nothing matters at this point. He's lost his #1 receiver, and Josh Allen is the future. The Bills are a superior team, and if they meet in the Super Bowl,
the key.
I think we both know what'll happen. Of course, they're not going to meet in the
Packers
Super Bowl.
by 10.
The Packers aren't going to win. And I'll tell you this right now, the day that the Packers and the Bills meet in the Super Bowl, we're going to have an epic side bet or something. We'll do something real fun. It'll be great because I think we both have a passion for them, but let's just calm down on Aaron Rodgers for a second.
What do you mean? I mean, he's literally. You have to admit, top 5 quarterback. I would think
of all time,
for sure.
Oh yeah, he's one.
Not
of top,
even close.
He's one of the top 5 all time.
Yeah.
But we're not. I mean, his career is.
But I would like to get a little bit more of these, Aaron Rodgers. Where's the rings?
He's got a wedding ring.
Yes. I don't know. He's been married I feel like he's been married a couple times.
Yeah.
Forget about that guy's personal life. That's a nightmare.
Let's just move on from that for a quick second, because if we start talking about football,
then we won't stop, which is what we should keep doing.
It'll be 4 o'clock, and then you guys will be like, "Did you guys ever talk trading?" And we'll be like, "No, we didn't. It's fine."
They don't care.
Speaking of Meta, it's weird, but I have like 2 executions here. Well, I say 3 executions on Meta. I didn't do anything with this until 160 on the way back. Tried to short it, reversed into a long, took a buck, and then tried to get the reload. Then that died down. And oddly enough, someone was saying in the chat, it's right on support here. So watch out. 157.80, 158 is decent support. There's some size on the even. But it also corresponds with here on Meta, if you are going to be drawing some nice fun lines, you go right back to that little wipeout bottom and the consolidation bottom from mid-month. That's around this 158. So, you go in the higher time frame, there's a little bit of reason, I suppose, why you're catching a bit of a bid here. Were the market to consolidate, reclaim yesterday's high in the NASDAQ 12.7 and go, Meta's actually on support. So, obviously, it's down 7%, but there are some signs that it could catch a little bit of a bounce here when you look at the higher time frame. But I want to see some key levels hold. We broke out on the NASDAQ. I'll quickly show you. That's what I mean. Like yesterday's top, we had the wick top at 12.7. Now we broke out from there. That's why I had a bunch of longs, and the only one left is going to be Apple, and I got this buyout that's going to show up there. So we can bounce off that same high, 12.7. Then I think Meta can go from here. But I want to see this market start to turn after this pullback has been pretty deep.
All right. What's a good level for Apple's? What are we talking about? Social stocks. Okay. I just did the trade of the day there, so you did kind of see my opinion there on the social stocks. Meta was just a complete disaster. I didn't really trade anything else on the social side of things today. I mean, we are short Google right now in a big position, so that's starting to make a move to the downside. That's going to be right here, Google. So we have Google coming up. No, we do not. So Google down there to the downside there off that short. Look at that short Fahad right there, 113.85. I told you what the shares we put on, so that's making back some money right now, 50 cents in the money on that trade. So we are back from the depths of hell where we were earlier. Nice little move back in for Google here right now. But I mean, with the depths of hell, can't get any more murky than it was for Meta for me to this morning. And we're just wrong on the call. I mean, look, that's going to happen. I look back, this will be position pending, my 3rd negative day this month. So when when you have 20 days, you're going to go 17-3 or whatever the heck it's going to be. Oh, I'm going to miss. I think it's 14-3. I'm going to miss the next 2 days there. But Meta today, just a disaster to the downside, as you guys could see. Missed all those levels. We talked about where we should have got long, where we should have got short, so on and so forth. It's a huge mistake. I should have shorted the pre-market break. I think that's really where the mistake happened. This long was just horrible, and then it just started to get worse and worse and worse on the way down. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a $4 or $5 hit. It's, and again, this is why we say trade your own book. You have to understand that, like, where you are in respect to your shutdown, what your account can and can't hold. But for right now, Meta has come back in. So I don't actually know Brendan or if Brendan knows, but I'm just kind of shouting him out here because I don't know why this rallied back. Like, I don't know if there was some nice talk there about Meta, but we went right back into that 161.50 where we started. I guess it was 161.50, sorry, not 161, where we started that long. And I mean, it came right back and then hit it right back in. So this name tried to get back to pre-market levels and didn't, and then just spanked to the downside right now. So as you can see, Meta just continues its pour downwards, and obviously down 7%. Not a great day for Meta, but I keep saying the same thing over and over again. I just feel like they're going to get it figured out. That's That's the big thing. I did talk about it, and some people are like, oh, TikTok's never going to get banned. I don't know if it's going to get banned or not. Obviously, we know of the previous administration literally was trying to force them to sell to an American company. So I don't know. I don't think that that's even on the mind of the current administration or not, but there was some talk about TikTok being pulled. And I thought there was a story a couple weeks ago about them being pulled from the the iTunes. So
it was like a threat of, it was like a possibility.
I guess it was just a threat, yeah. Because obviously that never happened. So, or maybe it did. I don't know. I can check.
Oh, I don't think
so either. The producer made us actually download TikTok, and then don't tell him this, but I deleted it that very next day or that night. So, I don't want the Chinese government like tracking me apparently, right? So we'll get rid of that one. Although if they want to track me, I'm right here. So I don't really know. I just thought that a tailwind for Meta would be if anything ever happened to TikTok. That's not a reason to invest at these levels. I just thought that could be something down here. And with a PE of 11 or whatever it's going to be now after this move down to 7%, it's just down to where it was yesterday. So yeah, they do give everything back. It's not a great name today. Meta just continues to get it. I feel like there's some more room to the upside here, but definitely today is not a good day for me on Meta.
Oh, sorry, just quickly here, Brennan. Only because Sega just did it. Sega just broke 2150, and I say that because I have 2150 long that I just hit. So we'll see. Like, it's a double top. I was just talking about this. It got a little parabolic into this move, and to say that this has been a strong stock would be a little bit of an understatement. It's not HKD. I get that. Nothing can be HKD of the last little week, but Sega has not been sleeping the last little bit. It's been on the midst of a bit of a breakout on the daily here, and then now today making fresh highs. I just like the setup on it. It's got a decent enough consolidation here. Sure, you could be looking at a top, but at least I have an idea that if we get back below the the teens, that we're going to be wrong on Sega. And if we do climb, there's room up at least until 22 even. So we'll take a shot here on Sega. I also like GovX. Kind of thought that would come in first. That's got a nice little double top as well at 225. So I got to order locked and loaded for that one as well.
Whatever. New York City just updating some case loads, I think, is part of that reason. 1,251 now in New York City for monkeypox. Ford was on the list this morning, number 2 on the list, up 5.25% here after better than expected report. They also reaffirmed their guidance going forward. 14 here, though, a bit of an issue apparently.
Yeah, it's weird, but like I said, Ford, I didn't think it would go red, which, okay, fine, it didn't go red. That's about it. It just feels like they always sell this thing whenever it's good news. And the way I was looking at it wasn't just the fact that they had a good report, it was also the fact, and then good guidance, but it was also the fact that it was in the heels of GM having a poor one. So you'd think you'd catch a bit of a better bid. Eventually it did. I went long in front of 1385. It was good for about 5 minutes, and then it stopped out. I didn't catch that bottom. It ended up getting about 15 pennies, maybe 20 pennies away from yesterday's close. It got close, not quite there. And then I just see now like a double wick top. So wick top at the open off 14, and then a wick top at about 12:30, and then a lower high. So I just kind of want to short in front of 14 at this point for the day trade in the afternoon. So I'm sort of sitting here in front of 14, trying to catch an offer. If it makes a fresh high here in the afternoon at 14:05, pretty easy stop out. So I kind of know where I'll be wrong there on Ford. Look, overall, I'm not going to say anything bad about the quarter. Sometimes it just has more to do with where you've come from than anything else. And it's made a pretty solid bounce here, consolidation, a little bit of a gap up. So yeah, some selling made some sense, I suppose. Still has every chance in the world. I was talking about it breaking out on the daily chart. It still is, right? Like you've got the break from 13. You've just taken out that recent resistance. It's essentially 14 right here. So you're just trying to test that. A close above that 14 would be huge in terms of settling above that price and making some legs to the upside. But even if it weren't to close above 14, that wouldn't mean that Ford is done. It could easily just consolidate off the 50 period. But for this afternoon, I am shorting in front of 14 until it takes out 05.
All right. I always have to look. Fod, man, you didn't tell me what we're talking about. Ford. Okay, got it now. Yeah, I'm just playing around, me and this guy. Okay, so Ford again today. whatever, one of these names again where we lose a little bit late, but try to make a little bit early, or lose a little bit early, try to make a little bit late. So, you know, here's the longs. We got out of the way. We were down not too much until it broke 1350. Still not down that much there, but unfortunately it breaks that 1350. We get out, of course, and then it hits 40s, and then it just rallies back up. But look what we did right there. We sat here and put on our biggest position that we did all day because we didn't think it was going to hit 14 bucks again, and it didn't. I mean, it came up and hit it, but it never broke it. So for me, that's a very, very easy out if it gets busted. It actually looks like it went to 1401. My stop is going to be always a couple pennies higher than sort of the kill zone there. So and then it came back in, and obviously we've just been getting out. And as I was just not looking at this thing, which I should have been right now, looking at Google here because we got a little bit of a different situation there. Apple with a nice little move downside right now, 30 cents in the money. Yeah, I think Ford fails here, especially if the S&P can't get going again, which it might. The NASDAQ has possibly already made its highs here. This is a 3-minute chart. Let's go over to a 1-minute chart. So just looking a little bit of a top action there. So not that Ford follows the NASDAQ, but if the market's going to come down here, then Ford definitely today up 5%, which is really great. It's just we definitely missed that bottom there by going long, and then we take the short up at 14. So I like Ford here. I just want to start to get out a little bit. VWAP is right here at 1375. So a break through that would be really nice. But let's just take some more out here as I got to switch over now and put some bids out here and just punch something. Okay. Oops, wrong price. Struggling here on Apple. I wanted to put down that 157, 156.95. There it is. Yes, sir. So a nice little one. Bang for Apple. We are back, baby. This day is getting better and better here. Look at this Google trade to the downside as well. We already talked about that top tick. We've been looking short into this name right there, so we shorted again, and now Google goes up the board here as the #1 stock today for us on the show. So let's go Google. Let's go to the downside. Now, it's always good when you have the #1 stock, but it's never really good when you have the #1 losing name, which I do on Meta today, and I've lost much more on Meta than I'm making here on Google. But if Google can collapse down, then maybe we'll make a little bit of money on this one.
The position board's not working
as
for you
well.
still. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you know what? I think it's because, I'll talk to Fahad after, but I am in these positions, so we got to get that position board working again there, Fahad. But I am short right now. I'll just give you my positions. I'm short Apple, I'm short Ford, I'm short Google, and I'm long Palantir.
Just reading a note on Microsoft. Wasn't a big deal. Just watching QCOM here, back to the downside as well for Qualcomm. There's Teladoc as well, but I mean, Teladoc was really nothing to see here. Gap down, has done absolutely nothing all day, go sideways. Same story. I mean, there was a bit of a slide here, 150 down to 143 for QCOM, but stuck in the middle for this one off earnings, along with most of the chips as well.
Guys, last night, for anyone, we talked about this in the morning show, but I guess in the afternoon, the focus I had was that 150 level on Qualcomm. Said this is going to be, that's that line in the sand. If we're below that price, essentially, look, it almost didn't matter what the report was to me. And when I look at it, you know, its previous resistance at 150, bit of a double top. It's been trying to break out. If we get below that price, I want to short in front of 150. Had it been a breakout from there, I'd be looking at the longs in this area. Clearly, you can see which direction it ended up going. At the open, it was one of those mornings where, you know, if you're, look, I was in that Ford trade to the long side, and you saw that stop out. And there was a couple of other things we were looking at. I had CCL managing a breakout trade as well. So I didn't catch 150 on Qualcomm, and then it absolutely dumped. And then all of a sudden you're looking, I'm coming back to this thing at about 10 o'clock, and I'm staring at 146, right? So it's now $4 down from where I wanted this thing to the short side. So all we do is you go back, when in doubt, zoom out. We add a floor here. So let's calm down a second. The market is flushing this morning. Got to get into some short trades. So Qualcomm broke this 146 floor. We're able to take that all the way down to this little consolidation here at 143. That ended up being the bottom. I was able to reverse short and catch a bunch of shorts, but the consequence of that is like all I was doing was trailing shorts at the end of the morning and didn't catch very many longs until a little bit later in the move, with the exception of Microsoft, because Microsoft happened to be at a high when the market was making bottoms, and we'll get to that in a second. And now that 146 has turned into support on QCOM. So if this market tries to go in the aft, it's interesting. It looks just like Meta at that 158. You got Qualcomm, which is weak, and then all of a sudden it's holding what was one of the breakdown prices in previous support. So you got a big level here on Qualcomm. If this market rolls over, takes a leg down, then you want to be short underneath this 146. We take out VWAP and can hold above. I mean, I won't argue with the long. I'm going to favor the short side of Qualcomm at least today. But yeah, it just goes to show, like, sometimes you have to grit your teeth and be able to short the bottom. Otherwise, I'm just sort of sitting out that 30 or 25 minutes till about 10 o'clock. I would have been sitting it out and not sure what I wanted to do. But there were shorts to be had, even if it felt like you were chasing it. There were a few names that were weak enough to take shots at the bottom that had room to go. I'll pick the one that had the bad guidance and had a good level, and that happened to be Qualcomm today.
Look, I figured out why the position board was off.
Oh, Tony.
You know, Fahad. There it is.
Oh,
right
I
here.
have to take it.
Here's Tony right here. Tony running the board here. Here's Fahad. You can't see his face, so don't even try. Here's Tony running the board. So big shout out to Tony. Of course, it was during our midday show where we had Luca and Pratt up in here, but there's Tony, the man of many talents and apparently many jobs. And I told Fahad that, like, you better watch out, man. This man coming for everybody's job, you know? Like, I'm not here. He's boom. He's sitting right here. Neil's not here. Bang. He's right here. We don't have a guest coming up. Boom. Tony's right there of our guest of the day. So big shout out to Tony and thank you for helping out. As Fahad, you know, Luca's taking some time off. So Fahad doing yeoman's work over there, yeoman's work as he's getting ready to rock and roll. And I was going to say enjoy the weekend, but I'm taking off. The weekend is not here yet. Shout out to the weekend, Scarborough's own, of course. A lot of people mad at that guy because he canceled his Toronto date, which is unbelievable, because it was the night of that Rogers outing. So a lot of people in Toronto pretty peed off there because he didn't even play his hometown, but I'm sure he will make good on that. So that just sucks. Like, I was actually thinking about that, like when people cancel concerts, it really sucks because people travel from all over the place. Like, I don't even know how many Canadian dates he has, but like, imagine, you know, you're in from even just Northern Ontario or one of the other provinces to see this guy, and then all of a sudden you've paid your hotel, you've paid everything like that, and he does not perform. But okay, anyways, let's go on. That has nothing to do with anything. What are we talking about? Qualcomm. Okay, chips. So I just went long here on AMD today at this bottom. This is one of those nightmare stocks where we were really struggling with early on. But look when we started to get played this name, about 10 o'clock, right? So these are all longs down here. And eventually it is. I mean, my number one stock right now is going to be Google because I'm holding on to this short right now. But as a realized profits, number one for me is going to be AMD today. So, I mean, a nice move back up to the upside here. We definitely take advantage of some of that. So we're going to wait to see now what AMD has in store for us. But nice move, long off that 88 bottom. We're just trying to be as patient as we can. We said 89 could possibly be the bottom today. It breaks through, which is what happens right there. So we wind up getting out, but then it extends itself down. And then we were like, you know what? Let's try this one more time. We did take it here. And again, sometimes you just get lucky when you're taking on trades. And it's like, it just started to blow back up. So most of these hits in here now, I'm just keeping my eye on because Microsoft flushed down a little bit. Apple flushed down a little bit and we were able to get out. So that was going to be, not hopefully, it will turn out to be a good trade for me on that. But just watching to make sure Google's okay. There's a nice little move up. We just wind up getting out. So again, long 88s. We took about a buck or so on that trade all the way to the upside, but started to get some out. VWAP back up at 89.60. So that's $1. That's about $1.50 there on the top side of AMD. And then we tried to dance a little bit with it here by going short at this pre-market high, which was all the way up here 91, but we weren't thinking that level was going to happen. So we were in here on the pre-market. That's once the market opened up, 91.70 for AMD today. But we tried the short, it didn't work, which if we would have held it, it'd still be in the money. But AMD, a pretty good name, and I think you got to try to keep catching that dream on this stock, right? I mean, it can blow up. We know that. So in a buzzing market like we had here, look at this move upside. We talked about Janet Yellen coming through. Definitely back-to-back Fed speak, and I know she's not Fed, but back-to-back speak today. Yesterday you get Powell, today you get Janet Yellen, and the market really was blowing up. So I think AMD is one to keep on watch, and I don't mind going long here in the afternoon if we break through this 91.15 or so area there. I'd prefer the shorts to keep on paying me, but if we have to, this is not a horrible spot right now for AMD. The AMD long through 91.15 if we can go. Yeah, go ahead.
Only because this one's showing up. Sometimes we don't show these, and I'm going to show you why in a second. You guys are going to see SHLX on the board. This company is being bought for cash. It will not move. It is a very firm cash deal bid. So it's essentially sitting bid-ask with let's just say a little bit of size on level 2. So if you have direct market access and a lot of day traders, it's called like market making, spread trading. It used to be called rebate trading because you try to get paid a rebate to add liquidity. Sometimes you still do. So all I am is bid ask on the stock and then capturing spread. So it is a strategy that you can kind of do on the side, and I've been doing for years. So you'll see me, this is me getting long in the morning and then just sort of taking it out for half midpoints, whatever you can get. A lot of times we don't short, because if you don't have direct market access, you don't have the ability to sort of sit there and just have your orders out all day long and tie up buying power. It doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense for most traders. So just to get that one out of the way, I 100% expected most of you guys should not be considering wanting to trade this. It'd be a waste of your capital for most people to be able to do. So I'll get that one out of the way. I actually just got trailed out of Apple and we're not going to talk about some of these. So I had a breakout on multiple stocks here in the afternoon. Apple was a 157.20 break. It got all the way up to like the 50s, and then I just stopped out the last little bit there. So I had that one long. I had a Micron. I was short Micron 61.60 into VWAP, and then I reversed at 80s. I was able to get some out in front of 62. I reloaded and stopped out there. I'm going to wait for VWAP. So some longs a little bit later on in the session. But one sector that I feel like we ignored too much there, Brennan, right at the bottom.
Yeah, I was actually looking at this one just before we get to that. There was some volume on Levi, not a name we haven't looked at very often, but apparently Kohl's, guys, going to sell silver tab Levi jeans. Kind of surprised they're not already, but there was some volume on LEVI. Here is the list that was mentioned in this, it's kind of tough to see, but that was mentioned in this clean energy bill this morning. 26%, 23, 24, down to 6 there for Sunrun Plug, First Solar, and CLNE. FCell on here, I don't know why it's twice, but FCell on there because of earnings as well. But yeah, this new bill apparently getting set for discussion next week. I saw over lunchtime, some lunchtime reading, guys. Apparently this trade may run into next week because they'll vote on it apparently Wednesday or Thursday next week.
Yes, sir. And look, if you had to be in these ones early, I'll just go with Sunrun because this is the only one where I can definitely say, having not been looking at it for the open, there was still a pretty solid trading opportunity that got missed out on. And I'm not talking about the break at the open. If it's not on your short list of stocks to watch, you're probably not going to catch that move, and you don't necessarily want to participate late. But what I want to talk about is right here at about 11 o'clock. Just as we were coming off air, you had a double bottom made in Sunrun, and this high volume, like look at the volume on this candle where it breaks 28 and a quarter and then goes all the way down through 28 and right to the bottom of the opening range. So the opening range breakout, 27 and a half, gets up to 28, pulls back to 27 and a half, breaks out again and goes $4. Well, that little wick terminates at that 27 and a half, snaps right back up, reestablishes this. This is where you're thinking, wick off bottom, strong stock, look for a long, like that kind of a thing there. So there's always opportunities late. I don't see much of anything on these now. But there was an opportunity late there, only because I don't see it on the board, so I'm going to get to this one, is it's starting to get back to the high of the day. Again, every single time I look over and the market's not at the high of the day, it feels like Microsoft has been. Microsoft was a short this morning. It's stupid to say this, but when the market was at the lows, Microsoft was resisting 271.50 on a double top, and we had short, and then all of a sudden, like it holds VWAP, and then when it made a triple top, it was a breakout. Market at lows, and Microsoft gave you a 271.50 break that played all the way to 75. I actually tried to short it back through 74. Thought better of it, got right out there, and wasn't even back into the trade. And this is one of the late ones that we had. I just took a breakout at 275.50, played it for the $0.50, kind of thinking that how can we possibly go any further on Microsoft? And yet here we are, staring at 277 in the face. I'm going to love 275 on the way back in here, probably like 273.50 even better. If the market pulls back, this is the one that I think I want to have dip buys on here today for sure. Amazon 121, but Microsoft, to be sure, 75s.
Okay, so yeah, if we are done the wrap, then let's wrap right now. So yeah, good little take there on Softy. Softy's been an okay trade for me today as well. But I mean, if you can't tell here, I've been shorting the you know what out of Apple. Some successful, some not right now. But this last couple definitely pretty successful here coming through. So you see the Apple short coming back in right now. Apple is now red on the day, despite the NASDAQ being up 0.7. I want to stay short this name, but I am obviously very aware that we have earnings after market, which could, and we're not going to hold this anywhere near, well, I mean, we'll hold it to 4 o'clock, but we're not going to, this is not an earnings play, but we did take another piece out on Apple as we're starting to get a little light on this trade, but I just wanted to review that as Apple making nice moves down, man. We are now 70 cents in the money on this name. The only one that's really not working out, I mean, it's working out, it's fine. It's just, it's starting to edge up a little bit as Google. So we've been sort of taking it out on the way up. I wish instead of going this way, it just kept on going that way. But hey, you can't get everything you wish for. So right now, Google continues its march back up. We're short at 80, but I feel like it's going to test that again. That's the high against 114. So we'll reload it again up here if it wants to get up here. But definitely the market seems like it wants to hold up. We are above the 50 period. So be careful with this Google trade.
Regardless of your trading style, regardless of your trading time frame, stop losses save accounts, guys. We've seen over the past few weeks a ton of low float, teeny tiny little stocks going absolutely crazy in today's markets. We're going to tell you in this video why, if you are in the market, you must be using stop losses.
100%. And I think that people always get caught up to like, yeah, but you know, what about the flash crash and people that had in their long-term accounts, like on that day, if you had stops, you got run. So there is a very big difference between a stop in your long-term investing account when you're holding things for years, where I don't know that you need to have them for those types of investments, and then trading. Whether you're a day trader or a swing trader, they do matter. And I love to use extreme examples to make a point. And HKD is the most extreme example that I can find. In the last few days here, you have seen absolutely utter nonsense on this recent issue, where you've seen bottoms down in the teens. I mean, look, it goes 14 to 35, pulls all the way back to 14, only to break out 35, see 85 to 35, break out again today in the 80s, and double up to 160. It doesn't even matter what direction you play. Like, there was a short up here. Oh yeah, there's a God mode short up at 155, 160. But I'll tell you this right now. If it had broken 165, the amount of people short at 150 could have taken this thing, it's so illiquid, up to a 175 or 180. And those who had stops would have survived to possibly trade another day, and others blow up their account. The truth of the matter is, everybody wants to try to hit these kinds of winners, but you cannot trade one of these without a stop to protect your downside, because on a stock like this, or back in the day a GameStop or a DWAC, you don't want your next trade to be your last trade. And that cuts in both directions, man. Like, if you're trying a long consolidation here, well, maybe if you had a 150 stop, it saved you some of that pain down at 125 when you're panicking out. That's the other thing about a stop. It makes you disciplined. Because if you, like, either you meant to hold this, or you needed to get out to control your risk. And if you need to get out to control your risk and you didn't, suddenly you might make a panic decision and get the real low, which is the panic bottom. You don't want the panic bottom. You want the controlled loss that you set in advance.
So I don't have, I mean, basically everything you said is what we could cover here, on the show, and we do it every single day. So my advice really is, if you're watching this video, please tune in every single day to Trader TV Live, because, that's exactly how we trade. And I mean, I could give you some examples here. I mean, we have some on Ford. There's lots of different examples on why you need to use stops. But for me, something that Neil didn't cover a little bit was just that what it does do is also allow you to trade multiple names. And I think that because you can't have your eyes on everything. Like, if I like the short in Google and I like it in Apple and I like maybe the long in Meta or whatever, something like that, it's possible that you can go 3 for 3 and make money on all of those names, but it's going to be impossible for you to sit there and watch every single one and make executions on them simultaneously. So when news comes out on different names, you want to be on those stocks, but how will a Meta drop affect maybe a Snapchat or something like that? So you got to have stop orders in. If this happens, then I might want that. So stop orders also very good for things like pairs trading. If you want to be short short like the social media stocks for a sector kind of trade, then you might want to say, okay, if Snapchat breaks this level, along with Facebook or Meta breaking that level, you're going to have Pins and Etsy and things like that. So I really feel that stop orders, you need to trade with them if you can. Just get used to it. Talk to your broker about them. Normally, that's the exact same fee as it would be on any other order type. And the one thing about trading stop orders, make sure that you put an aggressive bid, right? And so if I'm just going to come over here quickly, I'm just going to show you on Ford. So like right here, we were able to put on a short right here on Ford. I'll just zoom in a little bit more here for you so you could see right there, right? So that short is ahead of 14. Now, I don't put my stop orders at 1401, maybe 1403, 1404, but what I was going to get at is if it takes out 14 and you have X amount of shares, you want to make sure that you're able to get out. So don't put your stop at like 1401 and say with a limit order of 1405, you might want to go to 1410 or something like that, because again, if you're going to set it and forget it, you need to make sure that you have that out if and when it triggers.
I was having a conversation the other day with a new trader, a relatively new trader, and simply explained the psychology of when you're planning a trade, start with where am I wrong first. So if I entered right here, where am I wrong? And then enter the trade and set your stop at that level. So that should be your first thought process in the journey of a trade, guys. Great reasons right across the board as to why you should always be using stop orders.
All right.
And by the way, like that HKD, I made a gaffe. Like yesterday, I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm going to ignore this stock today. And when I came in and just sort of looked at it, the price for the shorts, sometimes it's not about being scared of trading something. It's about not being able to find a trade that made some sense to me. Like there's been ones like this where the liquidity is about the same and it's going 20 to 40 or 50 and the price locates relative to the liquidity. Like I can just reason a risk to reward and I can figure something that makes some sense. This one, it never made any sense, and except for maybe some longs. And I kept in my head, I was thinking there's going to be a God mode short on the stock, and I was sort of skewed to that. And then once that happened, there was just nothing that I could find, unfortunately. But if you came in today just thinking about the long on it, yeah, like 75s, 80s when it broke, like it was pretty clean. You had to risk like $5, maybe $10 every single time you traded. Like I'm just being honest with you, but the upside was definitely there. I got both GovX and Qualcomm here, one long, one short, as the market tries to head back to the upside. Microsoft is right on that high of the day. We'll see if it can go, man. Microsoft's been so incredibly strong. I think I heard Lucas say, I thought I heard Lucas say 280 today, and it was like, yeah, whatever, it's not going to 280. Yeah, maybe it does, man. If we take out the highs, it has been super strong. It's only up 3% on the session, and every time I thought it's going to slow down, it hasn't. As far as GovX, I haven't shown you guys the chart. This is a 250 top that was pretty significant. But if I look at what this has done in the last couple of sessions, which is fail off 250, that same low now supported at 165, the high from yesterday, consolidation off of that, and then breaking out. I like that breakout setup. If it comes back in, I'll probably have a tight enough stop that if it comes back in, I can play off of 2 even. But GovX, it's back on the radar. It's taking out the highs. It's gonna do close to 100 million in volume today, and it's got room to run to that 250. If it gets to 250, I'm probably out of it at that point, depending on how much volume we actually see going into that move. But sometimes you see this, like it has to pull back, go sideways for a day or two before testing that high. Maybe it does test the high. I'm not sitting here and telling you for sure I know anything, right? Like I'm short in Qualcomm, and it's not looking anywhere as good as it did the first time this morning. But certainly it's got the signs of strength here, at least for now in GovX.
Yeah, a lot of these stocks are battling back right now, big time. You just talked about Microsoft there. We had a couple shorts, actually made some money on them, and then eventually took out the top, and we haven't really looked back at Microsoft today, but that's what that's doing. And then here we go again, man. I said we would reload it, so there it is. We are reloading. I mean, maybe we'll get out a piece here at 75, but we are trying to reload. Well, we did, not try. Reload this order here for Google, so we just took an 85 print there. We'll see if we can get a quick dime on 10% or so. This is what I always do, man. I always do this and then, punch myself out for not holding it. But we'll hopefully get it back down into the downside now if it wants to go. Our out is about as clear as day here at 114. So that's something that's to look out for. But I mean, look at this. I don't know. I don't even think Neil knows about this. But so there's some sort of this is on my Instagram. There's some kind of a thing that's going on. This guy has over like 400,000 views, but how can I pause this? Look what he's watching in the background. Like he's watching look at this. He's watching Trader TV Live. This is some British guy that actually has quite a lot of British moments. It's like a meme account. It has tons of followers, and all he's doing, you can go to my Instagram here. I'll put this in here. You guys can go check it out on the reel. But this guy has this is like 400,000 views or something like that. And all he's doing is he's answering the door when there's a delivery guy coming. So it's not even that funny. And he's like, oh, he sees the delivery. Oops, that's me doing a comment on it. Hold on, we got to go backwards here. I got to close this, and you can see it again, hopefully. But anyway, see, he's looking, and then the delivery guy comes. He pretends he's not there, and then he goes and answers the door.
Everybody's done that.
Exactly. So I don't know why this is so popular, but then I'm like, hey, is that me on the screen there? And it was. So there we go. So nice little Instagram reel there as we talk about Meta and TikTok and all of that. But I thought that was pretty cool. Like, there we go. That's kind of the reach that we have. British meme.
Shout out to London.
Yeah, shout out if you're watching that, my man. If you want to come on the show, let's do that. We'll get that booked out for you right away. And I apologize. I know, other than it says British memes or whatever on the bottom there, I'm not sure of the account, but my wife made that for me. So I thought that was pretty fun. And thanks to Liz for posting it also on our socials. So just a fun little moment there.
British meme. The best part about it is I don't know anything about the guy's account, but everybody knows those little things that it's like, yeah, you do it. When you do it, you're kind of embarrassed that you do. But let's be real, everybody does it. It's like, I'm waiting for my package. I want it to come, but I don't want to seem like I'm sitting there waiting for it.
That's what that one is.
Yeah, come on. Act like I get enough crap delivered to me. I'm doing the same bloody thing. Who gives a damn? I'm desperate for
this. You said bloody
thing.
and we're talking about the British, so that was pretty cool.
I got some West Indian blood in me. You say bloody a lot. Speaking of, wait a minute. Speaking of a couple of things, so got another short that just came on here. We'll see how that one goes. I just got some more 30s. There's a bunch of offers at 30 on GovX. Like it doesn't seem to want to get past the 30 level. But Ford, which is on the march, market bouncing back to the upside, it's on the way to that 14. Well, if it was at 15, that'd be a totally different story. But on the march back up to 14 even here, I just got some at 95. I'll wait for it to get a little bit tighter to 14, maybe get 98s, 99s there. Just looking for that resistance. The market's creeping up toward the high of the day, obviously. So looking pretty strong there. I'll show you what that looks like. I don't know if we've shown the actual market, but we broke out of yesterday's top on the NASDAQ, right? Like that 12.7, that got broken out. And then we got to a fresh high here on the dip. Support right back at yesterday's Fed high. I love when that happens, right? Because that tells you where we need to break through. We need to break through yesterday's top if we're going to have a bit of a capitulation, or I guess a pullback. It's a capitulation. A pullback, or at least a dip in the market. And the leading the way here is, like I said, Microsoft continuing to go. It just took out the top again.
That's a monster.
But it's the acceleration that it's doing is not the same. Like when it took out 72, it was just... Like in the first minute, it was immediately just like you're out of it. It's like, what the heck is going on? And then by the time you realize how much buying there is, it's like, hold on to this stupid thing. But there's not as much acceleration through the high this time on Microsoft. It's just slowly grinding. Someone asked me if I liked the Verizon short or Verizon break, and I was like, well, not really, because like it's super strong, but 46. Like if it gets to 46, look at the way that it's climbing. I just can't see a breakout trade working. That's why I'd favor a small cap stock. That's why I tried Sega. You take a shot at the Sega, I'm going to have a defined risk there. Oh, yeah, of course it's still going, right? Like I take the break doesn't work, and then it's still climbing higher. But that kind of triggered parabolically on the news that Brendan had mentioned. That's never a great way to take a fill. A lot of times you don't want it to be on some kind of like news event that spikes it through the high of the day. You want it to be on generic buying. So that's probably why the little bit of a pullback trade. Eventually, it did go to the upside, though.
Now, shout out to Chef Joe here. He wants to put on the TV in the bar of Sinner's Steakhouse.
Nice.
So, yeah, like, how many times, Chef Joe, do I actually say Sinner's Steakhouse? Like, at some point, we're going to have to figure out some sort of a deal about that. But he has already promised that if and when we are
steak is the
yeah,
deal.
exactly, steak, seafood, all that. I want those bacon burnt ends as well. That seems, ooh, man, I love that. Get
Can't
that
talk
also
food
on
already,
some
man.
porchetta. Yeah, I don't know if you guys do porchetta. Probably maybe not. If it's a steakhouse, but anyways, maybe you do. So, all right, let's go on. Yeah, it's tough to talk that kind of food here when we're on the show. But it was a pretty good day
Camera
today
off me.
for everything. Yeah, get the camera off me. He's going to get some. That's okay.
Dude.
I mean, look, Arun brought those for you.
I'm actually like, I'm actually a little bit hungry. That's all.
The Kirkland nuts right there. So
Cashews.
yeah, lots of cashews in there. But okay, anyway, shout out to everybody. And yeah, I always feel very like humbled by that. Like I don't know, people always saying like people on the thing like, oh, you guys are famous. We all watch you guys everywhere, and that's what it's all about, right? It's just like spread the love. If you guys know anybody that are traders or whatever, hit the like button, share with them as well. I mean, how many likes do we even have right now? 549 likes. Oh, Lucas, I got you, man. You put in the chat there that we forgot to turn that around. So despite moi looking for market down, I change it over for the people. So there it is. You guys want the, I mean, probably a lot of you probably would prefer the bear, I think, after yesterday's market. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people that watch our show that are short. Like they prefer the shorts, but I don't know. Yo, what's up, Flame Boy? His whole family watches me. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but hopefully we can continue to entertain, and thank you for your patronage for sure. All right, so just quickly here, you know, I'm not getting fed up with it, but you know, how many times am I going to top tick this thing until eventually it ain't the top tick no more and it breaks? So, I mean, Google, you know, ripped faces off yesterday. It's impossible for this name to go red for me today. So here it comes right up to the upside. I mean, I don't think shorting anything here is going to be a good move, but we can see if it's going to hold 114. And then if it doesn't hold 114, then we are out of this trade. So Google on a 114. Yeah, 114, sorry. 114 break, we are going to be out. So just setting my stop order right now because, hey, I didn't think we'd get up here this fast, but we are. So let's go 114 stop out on Google. And it'll be okay. I'm just making sure, just like we just did that show, I'm setting my stop a little higher than 114 and then a little higher than my stop as a actionable price as well. So we make sure that we get the fill. But there it is, Google right now. We'll put that out, see if we can get a little bit of a break here and it makes a move down. But Google off of 114, I like that short. Yesterday, we just ripped it in the afternoon. My trades aren't going to be here, but this was one of my better ones. And look where we stopped, though, was 114. So let's see if it comes into play again here today. I'm going to take a little piece off at 80 if we can. Yeah, there it is. No, we didn't get 80s there, did we? No. Oh, we bid 79s, but we just got those as well. So nice little move back down in. Look, these are like 10 cents, like not even 10-cent winners right now. We're just taking pieces off so that if it does come up, it's not so bad of a hit here for us because we're kind of hovering around there. But I'm going to use a strategy now where let's just wait till the close. We've battled back today. Everything is doing pretty well for us. So let's just wait on Google to come back. Well, it's not going that well for us. We will have an L today. Oh, and I did post this as well on here, and there's already been some talk, but I went and did the work. So this was, as per talk on the show today, I mean, I just tweeted this out 10 minutes ago or so, or more than that now, 30 minutes ago. But this is my June, 16-5. So we were 16-5 in June with a 13-day win streak. So we started off not great. And then here in July, we're 14-2 with pending today. You could put a 3 here most likely unless something happens here with Google, and we can absolutely crack down lower because Apple's starting to take back off to the upside. We're fine on that, but you know, that's what that is. So we'll see, but we did post that for you guys there. I can do that every month if you want. I can even go back in time, but we'll see now. Let's just continue with the show, man. Everything's been good so far. We did get a piece out of our Apple, so let's see if we can short that near that 157.50. And we have someone coming up right now that's probably gonna, you know, want to talk Apple or talk a little bit about these tech names. So
I think so.
Yeah, let's throw it over to Brennan and see who our magical guest of the day is.
It has been quite the week, obviously, on the earnings front. Yes, absolutely. We need to get Danielle Shea's opinion, VP of Options at Simpler Trading, joining us as per usual for a Thursday. Great to see you, as always. Welcome back, Danielle. It's been, as I said, a crazy week for earnings. Crazy week on the economic front. Let's start with some of these earnings, and then we'll touch on what happened yesterday and even this morning. I mean, this GDP number was obviously not good, but let's rewind the tape, and then we'll look forward to what is coming tonight with Apple, obviously, after the close. But Google, Microsoft, it's been an impressive week, I guess, overall for these, considering the report's not that great. What did you think?
So, you know, overall, the theme of this earnings season is that we know the economic data is weak. We know that we have companies missing earnings. I mean, for Microsoft to miss incredibly rare. I mean, they never do that, right? But with Microsoft has a pattern where regardless of what they do on earnings, they generally keep rallying in the 8-day time frame post earnings. So, I actually really like Microsoft here. I think it's breaking out. After now, it's broken up above 275. I think you could actually trade it up to 290. So I'm just going to keep following the momentum on Microsoft to the upside. Definitely one of my favorite stocks in the market and one of my favorite long-term investments as well.
There's been a lot of pre-split talk, I guess, going into the split for Google on what could potentially happen as far as a rally. I mean, we've discussed it in the past on this show. Here we go with the earnings this week from Alphabet that, again, I mean, we discussed as well the fact that this earnings season, they've kind of talked up a big game and then come in where they needed to be. Alphabet seemed to be another one of those.
Yeah, and that's true. And I mean, it definitely did rally a bit after earnings, but I mean, compared to Microsoft, I would still consider it a dud. I was looking for a trade into the split in Google. That was a total dud. When I look at the way that Google has performed over the last 6 months, especially compared to a lot of other stocks and even just Microsoft, I mean, I would still say that Microsoft is the relative strength winner. Even though Google did trade slightly higher on earnings, I haven't found that move to be impressive. And I've been looking for it to roll back over because it did trade higher, but it just traded right into resistance. You have resistance at 115. You have even more resistance up at 120. So with that one, what I'm doing is I'm watching to see if it will fail at either of those levels. And then if it does, that's a spot where I'd like to sell some call credit spreads.
All right, obviously the biggest week for earnings season as we head into tonight. Apple, Amazon, Intel. Is there one you're focusing on, or is it all three? And if so, why?
So, when you look at these three tickers, especially in the option space, you have this unique ability where you can sell options on a Thursday and try to get out of them on Friday after vol crush is over. Of course, then you have to determine which direction you're going. Now, what's crazy about all three of these is, you've got the chip space that has been weak, but yet you have chip makers coming out and rallying post earnings. You have companies like Google, like Microsoft that were a little bit weak on earnings, and yet they're rallying post earnings. What that suggests to me is that, we have been accurate looking at the fact that we knew the economic data was going to be weak, but we almost got peak bad sentiment. And so even though I know it sounds crazy to say, I do think that Amazon's earnings are going to be weak. I think they have a lot of different problems, but I still think that they could rally. So actually, now that sentiment has shifted a bit, I'm leaning more towards selling put credit spreads on these, all three of them really, but I wouldn't do it just overnight. Like I mentioned, I would give yourself at least another week in case they end up falling first thing in the morning.
I want to get your opinion on, I didn't send this to you, I apologize, but I get your opinion here on Meta, obviously the big one from today. There was actually just a note that came out from Business Insider, guys, that says Instagram is killing the big product overhaul they came up with, I guess, the beginning of the week after the Kardashians, of all people, said it's a terrible idea to go further towards the TikTok model. So yeah, Instagram not going through with this update now for Meta. Let's talk their earnings.
So when you look at Meta, I was definitely bearish going into Meta. I was bearish going into Google. Those were the two out of the FANG stocks, and Amazon as well, that it really felt like they were going to have negative results. Meta has just been throwing money left and right at this metaverse. And this just isn't the economic environment that you want to be blowing money in. So I had anticipated that those were going to be weak. I still like the stock to the downside. And the Kardashians, hey, they have so much influence. I think they're right, number one. I think that it's ridiculous that these social media companies just keep trying to copy each other. But ultimately, I think that Facebook continues on the downward slide. I don't think anything's really going to be able to save them now. So I think continually just selling call credit spreads on rallies is the play there.
TikTok's obviously, eating everything for lunch right now, but it's its own product, I guess. And Instagram is unique in that sense for that reason. And I agree 100%. A no-brainer for Meta. All right. You mentioned the current economic state of the world. A lot of that changed slightly this week. Another 75 basis point increase coming from the Fed yesterday. We get this second straight, I don't want to say the R word, but it's a second straight negative GDP reading. The overall market, obviously, on a bit of a push to the upside here. But where do we go from here as far as the overall market is concerned, and how are you positioning yourself around that?
So, the irony of the recession news is that it's almost just the final kick in the can. But the thing is that it was so expected. We've been talking about this for months. We've been saying, oh my gosh, there's going to be a recession. And then what happens? It seems as though the stock market has already priced all of that in. And so that now that we have the actual numbers coming out, we're able to kind of breathe a sign of relief and actually rally here. So I think there's a little bit of irony in that. And I do think that this current move is breaking out to the upside and it is tradable to the upside. My main concern in the long term is just that even though a lot of these companies have rallied post earnings, the fact of the matter is that growth is slowing and they're still having so many different issues between the strong dollar, between inflation, between the war in Ukraine. The list goes on, right? So while there might be some rallies that we can trade right here now, the economy is really not on stable ground, and that's going to continue to be clear throughout various earnings reports. So it just matters, how traders are going to take that information and what they're going to do with it after the fact.
And more to come next week, obviously, as well. We're not done yet. There are some pretty exciting names to come next week. There's also this CHIPS bill that's being worked on in Washington right now. Apparently, they've hit 216 yes votes, which is well above what they need. So just watching intel here. Anyways, tell us what you're looking for or forward to coming up next week, more earnings.
So, I actually really like the chip makers here, first of all. When they first started rallying based off of the CHIPS bill news, I really wasn't buying it because the thing is that it's going to take a long time to change that infrastructure. But the fact of the matter is that the news have really boosted the technicals. That, in addition to the strong earnings from companies like Texas Instruments, Taiwan Semiconductors, we have AMD coming up next week. That's definitely going to be a high area of focus for me. I've been watching AMD and NVIDIA very, very closely going into earnings. And if we can continue to get this NASDAQ breakout, those are two of the companies that I would love to trade higher going into those earnings reports.
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad here. Yeah, great rally. Thankful for that. And congratulations, you were pretty bullish there on Tesla, and that's been doing quite well in this environment as well. So congratulations to that one. Remember, you brought that up to us a couple weeks, and that was a great trade. What I want to talk to you about is this, and maybe I'm the one that has no idea what I'm talking about, which is most likely the case, but it's like Meta, and I just want to go back to Meta here, because when I look at a PE of 11 or 12 on this name, and I know that we've talked about, this Kardashian thing with Instagram and this and that and TikTok. I actually said today that, what kind of a great tailwind would that be if TikTok ever was banned, and then therefore we'd only have Reels. So I think that that's a little bit of something that could happen for Meta. But how would you play, and I might be what I was saying is I might be the only one on this side, how would we play Meta to the long side? Like, it might have some weakness over the next little while. Like you just said, the economy definitely in trouble here. But how can someone who thinks maybe 1 or 2 years down the road where they say, hey, there's no way Meta is going to be at this level. I think we may be back to 200 or whatever price may be. Do you often advise, some of the people that trade with you there on buying leaps or something like that in a name? Or is it just too expensive right now because everybody's sort of thinking the same thing?
So, looking at Meta, on the, plus side, I'm looking at the chart right here. It's right down on like the dead lows of the year, right? You're holding up right above 154. So the argument against the bull case would be, hey, it's on the dead lows of the year and it's holding up and it had bad earnings and, what could be worse? So if you want to come in and if you want to buy leaps, 6, 9, 12 months in advance, you can absolutely do that. But, what I've actually been favoring during this market environment is, Google, for example. So I'm a Google shareholder, even though I was looking for weak earnings and I didn't really think it was going to explode to the upside. I'm still buying Google shares because in the long term, it makes sense. So with Facebook, if you really wanted to invest in the company long term, I actually think it makes more sense to just continually average into shares. And what you can do is you can work yourself up to a decent amount of shares. You know, if you can get 100, 200, 300, 400 shares in a company that you want to invest in long term, then what you can also do is you can sell covered calls on those shares to help generate income against them, especially when the share price is a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, I like that. That was going to be my next question about selling against your position. So I think that that's great advice as well. But anything in oil, I mean, I don't know if you have the oil chart up, and I don't want to take you off guard here, but that's that band dancing around 100. Are you just more focused on the equity side of things, or do you actually look at other things such as commodities with oil, natural gas, or even Forex, or are you mainly focused on the equity side?
So I don't look at Forex too much, but I definitely look at commodities, and I'm just looking off my screen here to check out oil because, you know, it's interesting. I was actually looking at this chart the other day. If you go to the weekly chart, and sorry, my screen share was not working today, but if you go to your chart, weekly USO chart, what you can see is that you actually have a really nice trend overall. You've come down, you've held support, you're starting to bounce. I think that it makes sense to invest in USO in the long term. You also have some key energy companies that are going to be reporting earnings tomorrow. So when you look at, you know, Chevron, Exxon, I actually think that now that they've come down pretty substantially, it would be a much better spot to come in and start selling puts against support, or just pick those up in a long-term account. You know, when everybody was talking about it back in May, June, and everybody wanted to know, you know, can we buy oil there? That was the high. And I remember you saying you wanted to short it there. And I was a little bit wary, but now that it's come down, I actually think it's a great time to start looking at it again.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with picking up some CVX down here either at these levels. I mean, bouncing off that 140 and starting to go back up to the upside. But yeah, I'm never going to forget, you said June, I was like June 8th. I remember exactly the day when we topped out on some of these names, CVX. And then if you wanted to get, thanks for USO, I think that was a good call out too, but also the XLE, both. You know, the XLE is 40% Chevron and XOM. So again, if you're looking for an ETF name that's a little spread out the risk, XLE is a good one. But okay, so you were bullish on Tesla, and that's paid off. So now I think you were just mentioning Microsoft and some other names there as well. Can you give us a name that maybe you're more negative on right now, as that has possibly already reported? Is it going to be a Snapchat? Is there something right now that you are maybe accumulating on the short side?
Man, I have to tell you, Sean, I got Snapchat totally wrong. I was looking at Snapchat and I thought, you know, they normally do really well on earnings. And I was just looking at it on a statistical basis. I got that one wrong, I have to tell you. But the main names that I've been focusing on the short side are all the ARK names, with the exception of Tesla. So, you know, you've got Roku, Shopify, Spotify. Look at what happened to Teladoc today. The reason why I'm focusing on these names is because a lot of those companies, they're not even making profits on a regular basis. Their earnings are all over the place. And in this kind of market environment, the market just has absolutely no patience for companies that are losing money and are missing earnings on, you know, such just terrible numbers. So I would actually focus on those companies. Yes, I understand the whole point of the ARK portfolio. It's long-term, 5-year plan, yada, yada, yada. Everybody loves to argue about it, which is totally fine. But right here, right now, in this quarter, the market is not going to tolerate companies that are losing money left and right, and they're going to continue to fall on any kind of bad news.
Everyone loves you, Danielle, and they want you to continue with us on the show, but we know that your time is tight, so I did want to give a big thank you to you, VP of Options Trading over at Simpler Trading. So we wish you the best and look forward to having you back on next week.
Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Always amazing. And look, the other good thing is Danielle's rallied the market just now. Everyone's so excited.
Yeah, got me out of my Google, Danielle.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, my forward short's probably going to get stopped out too. But Yeah, we're still rallying the market. We just broke highs. The NASDAQ 1.1%. The ES even stronger than that. I'm back into Microsoft. It just broke out off that 50 area, but this is what we're talking about here with the NASDAQ reclaiming those tops, like double tops getting broken out here. Looks like we're going to have a shot at an afternoon rally. I don't know what happens on... Look, we get a lot of earnings tomorrow that are going to be a bit of a differentiator when you talk about Apple. So like to say we have a long way to go is a bit of an understatement. We got a long way to go here because we still have some big earnings on tap there. Oh, if this ends up being a wick off top too, like one of the strongest names, Microsoft, if we go wick off top here, that could be very spicy. I just want to double check Amazon here. Amazon, I'm on the bid and Amazon didn't quite get that break at 22s. That goes up to 23 and is starting to fade a little bit here. Oh, if we ran the high, we've seen this party before, have we not?
Yes, we have.
We run the highs late, only to do one of these little bit of a rug pulls, and then it starts to accelerate a bit to the downside. So we have to try to hold on. Let's see if we can actually find a consolidation higher. I want to double check what Apple is doing here. Yeah, Apple, same wick off top. That's a pretty significant reversal. It's frustrating because if you had a short and got stopped out of that, that's going to be a frustrating look. And all I got is 4 to the short side. I'll go back to what I liked short before and still think I can get it, and that will be potentially Micron off of this high. Just sort of looking at it at about 62. I'm going to want Alibaba at 100 if I can get that one. Shout out to, I think it was Scott H in the chat while we were going there. It's like, oh, please, if the market turns, you're going to get Alibaba at $100. Yeah, like give me a break. Let's see if I can get a piece of it here. This is the kind of, I wanted the market to break out. Every single trade I've had has been like a break in the afternoon, been a break. I'll have a stop, but I wanted this market to continue to the upside. But that is wick tops everywhere I looked. Like I think I pulled up every stock I could find that was strong and at those highs. Meta, Apple, Amazon, not Meta, sorry, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon, all very, very strong and all broke the high at about the same time as the futures did, and then it reversed. So not saying I jumped short those names, but Baba down 3%. At 100 with a new top of 130. I'll take that one to the short side. Micron, which had been relatively weak compared to the chips. I mean, Micron hasn't had a bad day, a terribly bad day. It actually got green on the day. But relative to the other chips, you can see it's below its high of the day. We still have that for cover. Whereas you look at something like an AMD, well, that doesn't help. AMD did break its high. But another wick top. There's another reason why we could have a bit of a pullback. AMD with a wick top off those highs.
Yeah, we were lucky. We'll do a little bit of a bang. I mean, we did get out of our Google, which is fine. I mean, we were in and out of that one for the majority there of that trade. So you guys sort of saw me scalping Google, which is fine. But we waited here and was able to short Apple again at that 157.50. So we just took it at 50 or at 45, I guess. Maybe 46 was the fill. What am I short at? 45. Yeah, so 45.5 right now on an averaged in price. And we did get some out there at 15 as it went right to the 50 period moving average there. So that's what we did there on Apple. Short. We're still short. I mean, we're still short 90% of this trade. This is not over with, in my opinion. We'll see if the NASDAQ does want to pull back in. I mean, I'm just waiting for it to cruise down to this 50 period. And when that happens, hopefully Apple touches that 157, and then we'll be able to get out of more of this trade. But for right now, heading into earnings tomorrow or tonight for Apple, tomorrow's trade, then we'll see if it can hold out some of these gains that it's had recently. And I mean, if you're going to look at Apple, this is an amazing run up here. So I just... You know, you don't ever want, like I said, we don't ever necessarily want to be short Apple, but it's only up 0.25 today, and you can see what the market's doing, up 9, it's almost up 1%. So, you know, you're about 25% of the market right now to the downside. So let's just wait to see if this can give it up here. And here it comes back in right now. So Apple's starting to get back. Do I even have a bid? Oh, I do. I have one at, okay, I have one at 10. So 157.10 coming through here. Come on, don't stop at 11. Just go through. Like I'm bidding 10s. Let's see if it just... Let's see if it, there we go. Okay, good. Broke through there, down for Apple, so a nice little trade on this one as we try to make a little bit of money back there. It's really sucky because I'll show you my Google trade, and it's just the other, just the other way around. That's Google just on the split. It's the other way around, so we do get stopped out there. But like as you can see, the damage on this wasn't that much. I mean, that's 90, that's O's about right there, and it goes all the way the upside up to 30. So, you know, I would have got stopped out a lot higher than that if we didn't get stopped out there. So I'm actually pretty thankful that happened, but the pullback in is what really sucks because, hey, we would just barely be in the money on this name, so it's not like, it's the end of the world, but Google did pull back. This is a very strong name. I mean, you saw yesterday what it was doing. This was a great short, and like I said, we definitely took advantage of that. And then on the way up, we could see that there was going to be a problem. So it's not a major hit there, but still one regardless. And that looked like that might have been a good out again there on Apple, back down to 157.10. So let's hold out. Now we have 80% of this trade on. Let's hold out to see if the NASDAQ does want to take down that 50 period. And as we just said, look what it just did. It just bounced right off that 50 period, and we got our fill as that was happening. So we're just kind of respecting the NASDAQ right now. Hopefully it can turn around. Apple's, what, 12% of the NASDAQ or something? So we'll see if it can hold up the S&P right now, especially if they want to sell Apple, capture some profits on this name, just in case. The thing about Qualcomm is, what is it, 23% of their business is Apple, and Qualcomm didn't have a great quarter. So I feel like the read-through on that, you know, if people are getting anxious here coming into the close, I would feel that Apple, if I'm holding a position into the close and I get this kind of a nice day here where we're near the tops of the day, to me this might be a closing situation now for Apple. So let's see if it continues to come down, but I'm going to try to hold the short on AAPL.
Yeah, that's a good point. We probably should have. That's a good one to have mentioned, right? Like we talked a little bit about Qualcomm, but the Apple side of it does matter. I'll go back to the only thing I was short when all of that just happened to be Ford. It did come down, test the first level, every 5 pennies all the way to 1380 is going to be VWAP. We're going to get out of this. I don't expect Ford to have a gigantic range, right? 95 to 14. So every 5 cents down, if we're risking 5, we'll try to take to the downside there. I actually just reloaded on Micron as we're testing those tops again. And I'm just wanting to find things here. After we just looked like we failed those breaks at the top, I see a few names still struggling to get back to those highs. Micron feels like it's going to be relatively weak, and it has been for a while. The other side of that coin is if you kind of look at this level here at 62, it's had these rejections, significant rejections of the level the last couple of days, but each one, because severe rejection, it broke out, got to 40s each time, but now you're actually only getting to like 20s and then even like teens and even less than that. So each time it breaks 62, it's just a little bit weaker. So a bit of a relatively weak name. The one to actually be careful with in some ways, as bearish as I've been lately on Alibaba, is BABA, because if it gets through this, you go back, like the opening range here was up at that 103 area, 102.5. And you go pre-market bottoms here at about 150. So while it's going a bit sideways, like it has climbed back above the weak support after the flush out today. And then you are trying to retest some of the previous support. So there's a bit more room for this one to go. If you check back in on, like, I think it was Amazon, which has been super strong all session. Yeah, I can't look at the 15 there. Super strong all session. It's coming back into the 122s. This is a name that I still like the dip buys on. The 122 was a clean break from yesterday's high as well. I like the 121s. I don't think we're going to be playing around with those, but I'm sort of sitting on the bid here for Amazon. It's one of my relatively strong names where since we had that break here at 121.50, I was shorting it early and they just got way too strong and breaking out these tops, and I'm leaning back into this, trying to grab some 122. So I'm willing to play this one in either direction. Just always make sure you have a stop, right? I don't want things reclaiming the highs of the day on me. Haven't been doing that with any of the trades here, and then pay yourself along the way. That's going to be the key to navigating this afternoon. Unfortunately for GovX, it did not follow through. So we got to reload at 20s. We were able to get that some out at 30s, and then you're going to see it break the stop there. And we just talked about stop orders. Well, if you don't stop out, and you don't have a stop by the time you get to this, maybe you're sitting there in a capitulation candle just paying down all the way to VWAP. Like that's what happens to the person punching out 07s or 08s. And then you give up all of the profit that you just made on the trade. So that you don't want to have happen to you. So we get out of that one. SIGA, which I was in and out of, is still continuing to its high. So yeah, still going up are the monkeypox names because obviously that's where it goes. So SIGA still holding out some strength. And if you're still watching HKD or are curious about it, or for whatever reason have the absolute stones to be trading this thing, and believe me, you need stones to trade this and a lot of buying power and risk, holding at 160, which I can't say makes any sense to me. The fact that this halted to the downside, failed at 150, again pulled back to 120, and there are still enough buyers to get it to 160 is one of the more impressive things that I've seen in a while. It's not often I get shocked by price action, but this stock every single day seems like it does something that confounds me a little bit.
Confounds you. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, just start trying to look at a new name here. I mean, I was going to look at AMD again, but Palantir right now, long 991, a nice little 13 pennies. If this comes through 10, we'll get out, but we'll see if we can get out some more up here around 10.14 if it does come back in. Apple's just dancing, but what about PayPal? PYPL now near its high of the day again, and it just had. It's a negative name, which is why I wanted to look at it. The high of the day obviously is off the open, so I'm not worried about that one right there, but look at this, 85.80 into 86. So you are starting to cruise a little bit now. Nice move off that bottom, almost as if there was news there, but it did rally with the market. PayPal, and then I was just looking at this 85.80 level as a possible short. But if the market really wants to start to crack, this is 85.50. So I'm thinking that that's very close right now. That's the 50 period, possibly in a downside move here for PayPal into the close. But we're already short Apple and we're short Ford, so I think we've got it pretty good covered right now, but we wouldn't mind adding another one, and it might just be PayPal if we take down 85.50. What's up, Brendan?
One that kind of flew under the radar a little bit today, InMode. I just saw made a day high there. Coming off of earnings, it was doing absolutely nothing, all pre-market this morning, higher, but look at this steady, slow, just march, kind of grind to the upside. 14% for InMode. INMD off a good report today.
Oh, yes, INMD. Good.
INMD.
Good look there. You want to look for those strong stocks that are trending to the upside. One of them was just asked about in the chat. That's why I'm going to bring this one up. Still trending like the rest of the market. Block. It feels like every time we talk about the space, we're like, yeah, we talk about Coinbase for crypto, we talk about PayPal for payments, and we never mention Block. So I just want to get this one out of the way. Like everything else, you've had the crazy V-shaped move, but on the daily, hey, check this one out. 50 period hold, consolidation, looking for a break. If this rally ends up being not the normal where we sort of turn around after the Fed raises rates, then Block is really setting up for a good breakout. And a lot of stocks are doing the same thing, but I don't want to sleep on this one too much longer. 76 is going to be setting up. It's going to matter what the market does here. It's going to matter whether or not we hold, and like it or not, it's going to matter whether we can continue to be the strong move we're seeing in Bitcoin, actually off the highs now, as I take a quick look at it. But crypto's on a boom. Ether has been absolutely going nuts to the upside. If that can continue, Block is really poised. But it was trying to fail that 50 period today. A close above it, which it looks like is pretty much a guarantee at this point, is going to set it up rather nicely. I've been saying I like PayPal better. That's why we were trading it the other day. I'm not sure why I'm not in PayPal or looking at it this afternoon, but that was the one that we were trading post-Fed. It's just a little bit stronger, right? Like it's already broken past the 50. It's making its legs to the next move to the upside, which would be about that 88 to 90 area. So a little bit ahead of Block right now, but Block is in the, I guess, the early stages of a potential breakout. Got to watch that 76 area to be sure.
All right, yeah, Palantir battling back there. It looks like PayPal, again, we were just going to try to go for the short if the short came through. So right now it's starting to go back up. You could take the break for the long side as well. I was just sort of thinking short today. So as you guys know, we're short Apple right now. And I feel like, we have looked a little bit in the face here of Apple because, it's given us these bottoms. Like, how many times is it going to show us this 115.16 or something? So, I mean, and I don't think we're in trouble on this trade. It's just, got to get something out. So we're going to sit here one more time, or not one more time, at 15, which is going to be our worst out to take. But we'll get out of another 10% here for Apple. And again, we're not going to be green today, but we can definitely make a little bit back here on this Apple short. So let's just see if that continues to want to come to the downside. I don't know. We are going to average in at the same spot again here at 50. If that comes through, then great. But until then, not 100% sure what we expect from Apple as earnings are coming through. My logic was that if this market doesn't really come back up to the upside, obviously, then Apple will naturally just continue to fall. And then I also was thinking that, hey, we still have the story there of Qualcomm coming through. And then if I'm a little nervous about Apple, which I'm just trading it to the short side here on the show, but would you want to hold this into earnings considering the volatility that's been in some of these names? So I'll hold Apple short right now. We talked about this yesterday into the Fed that we wanted those longs, and I just have the same feeling here. I mean, could be wrong. We have our outs. I mean, I won't wind up losing money on the trade. It's just like I was hoping to make money on the trade. So that's the key. We have been doing that. We shorted Apple. So ever since we lost that first time on the 50 break, we've re-engaged the short, took a lot of money on that, and then we put it back on right now, and now, as you know, making some more bank right here, right now. So yeah, look, I mean, I don't think this trade is over with. Let's just see if it will continue to work to the downside here. But I'm going to be reloading Apple at this 157.50, and then if it takes out the high of the day, then that is what it is. I'm right here at 15, so let's see if it stops, which it just did. You saw 15 on the bid. It's got to go all the way through. I'm just picking 15 as a random number. I mean, the 50 period is right here, but I don't need to be exact, I don't think, with these trades. So let's just hold out hope. There it is. We get that 15. So yeah, so far so good here on the day for Apple short.
Oh, we should have mentioned this one. Remember Tesla 850? That I put in the chat that 850 was still in play for Tesla, but I didn't say it out loud. It got to that high. Yeah, you guys can see that. It got to that high in the morning. It's this crazy wick that skews my chart. So we're going to get there if this market takes out these tops. It does feel like I liked that short in the morning. Taking it if it gets to that price. I don't know if I'm going to love that again here today. It's a different story when you get that whipsaw action off a level like that at 9:30, and then you get a rejection. Like, it's just so much potential upside in this case for it to pull back. I'm not sure we get a shot at it again. And this is a name that has air above. Like, if it breaks out in the next couple of days from that 850 level, got to clear through it first. You've got lots of room into that upside. I find myself with one long after getting, like, I'll show you, look at Microsoft, man. Like, I was just in this thing. It's like in and out, and look at it just go sideways, right? Like, this is essentially what's happening in the afternoon. It's like I get into something, put a tight stop, it'll stop out. I'm not really holding on to it because we're just dilly-dallying off the highs in the market. So trying to give some of these shorts a little bit more room to possibly pull back in here and then take advantage of the fact that we are off of those highs. Tesla is not one that I would add to that list, by the way, just so you guys know. One that is also coming back. Whoops, I was about to say Ford is coming back. It is not. Come on, Ford. There we go. Ford is basically going sideways, but I think that's the plan. The fact the market made a move up and it's not really coming back should be a good one. You'll note that AMD just went again. So AMD takes out the high, then reclaims the top. So it does this move. So it took out the high, took out 92s, pulls back, and holds this high. So it's like I'm getting the heck out of dodge of Micron because AMD is now holding the previous high of the day as support. Like, that's a bullish sign as far as I'm concerned, so I got to watch out for that. It could, I don't know if it takes the market higher, it could take BABA higher with the market, but AMD looking like a bit of a beast. I think we have to respect this one for the long side. I've been looking at Micron shorts, but if there's one to be played to the long side, it's probably AMD, but I will at least do a look of NVIDIA. Now, yeah, it's clearly AMD. NVIDIA's not even at the high of the day yet. It's up 1.6%, so I don't want to write it off and say that's not good. AMD up a little bit more, but I care about the fact that you're holding the breakout price here as support late in the day on AMD.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I was buying some AMD on the dip in the long term, and you guys know I've been trying to like almost avoid single names in this space because I already do own a lot of AMD and NVIDIA, so I was sort of flipping over with the SMH, which has had a great run. I think it's up 25% or so in the last 3 weeks or since this NASDAQ bottom, so SMH off some, I mean, the names are so beat down, so that's why you get that run. What's up, David? I see you here from Mexico. Thank you again for, I think, the second or third super chat. It means a lot to us here. David here from Mexico. What's up, my man? Sean, why don't you trade the NASDAQ 100? Look, I've said that to myself numerous times. Is like, why am I? You've been here for a year and a half. Thank you so much for that one. So we'll go bang for that. And thank you so much for the super chat as well, David. But yeah, I mean, I probably should. And that's the one thing that you saw me yesterday load up the TQQ for you when we were looking at that Fed move, which again should have got long on that again. So yeah, for sure, I will definitely try to put that feather in my cap as the second half of the year comes through. And for right now, it's a lot of earnings, so we'll trade some of those names. But it's a good point, David. Thanks for bringing that up. I think we should start to look a little bit more at the futures. Like, just don't have trading it when it runes on. Like, we are able to make lots of trades here today. And if I don't trade the NASDAQ futures themselves, it'll be the triple Qs, which again is a non-levered ETF. This should go 1-to-1. You can see here the NASDAQ up 0.98. The Q's up 9.9, NASDAQ, I mean, just one tick away from being that same thing. So, the correlation's definitely there with the Q's, but Brendan breaking something, what's up?
Blink charging, guys, just taking a run at $21, which is that high, last high on the daily chart there off this bill, climate bill that's going to, as we said, be voted on next week. But 12% volume coming back in here for Blink.
Oh my God, there's so many of these.
Kip Perlson, shout out from LA.
West Coast.
So he's all about LeBron James, so maybe you should meet Fahad. Okay, will the Lakers make the playoffs? Okay, here we go. This is for you, kid. Never know. This says
You can't make the playoffs when you got LeBron on your team, then. Oh no.
Well, they've done that before.
I know.
LeBron didn't make the playoffs this year.
I know, it's just sad.
Outlook not so good. So yeah, it looks like they will make the playoffs. Because I said will they not make the playoffs, right? Or what did I say? Oh, they said, will they make the playoffs? Outlook not so good. So yeah, maybe they won't make the playoffs.
They'll make the playoffs.
Shout out to, yeah, I mean, can LeBron go back-to-back years not making? I don't know. But I really like his strategy of signing like one-year deals and stuff so that he can always, reassess his spot.
At this point in his career, it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, I mean, he's been doing it for a while. I know Jordan sort of started that. That's why they had, what was it called, the Larry Bird rule or something, where they could sign with the same team and get that cap exemption or whatever it was. So I like that.
You know what's weird?
What's up?
I've been getting a ridiculous amount of suggestions when I'm on my YouTube and browsing it for like stories of NBA players talking about how great Larry Bird is. Every single time I pull up YouTube on my phone, it's like so and so talks about how great a trash talker Larry Bird is.
Oh, that's
and for the last month, I just look. He's great. I just don't understand what happened in the last month. Why every time I look online, it's like Larry Bird this, Larry Bird that. I mean, okay, great player, fine, but.
There was some sort of a social media thing about trash talking because of Draymond Green and everything, and then somebody was "Oh, Larry Bird's like the best trash talker of all time." So I think you just getting.
Fahad's pretty good.
You're getting like, I don't know. Fahad's trash talk is pretty good, but I mean, I don't know if he said something last night that he went bowling with his family, and we actually talked about this, and he put up 116 or something like that. So,
hey, man.
Now he just confirmed 117. Okay. The thing is, though, that rematch is going to happen in December, I believe, when we go bowling next. By the way, and I just want to make an announcement that the expense report has been approved.
There it is.
There it is.
Now we know we can go again.
I see Mark there. We had a questionable there, and I was like, don't worry about the expense report. It will eventually get that check mark.
It was an expensive night of bowling, wasn't it?
Well, we only did the 1 hour on the lane.
I know, we didn't.
But the thing is, I think it was like about $30 a person. I was saying this to bowl for the 1 hour and get the shoes, like the unlimited bowling, of course. And then everybody but me wanted to drink, so we had to up that bill as well for that. So, another super chat coming through. What's up, Dustin? 10K a day. 10K day and didn't take any of my trades. Good. Just fed off that positive energy. That's what it's about. A 10K day for Mr. Dustin. Thank you for the super chat there, Dustin. Just wondering, what trades did you take, and what was your big win? If you don't mind sharing that with us, that would be absolutely fantastic. And then, do you make that 10K? Was that like one trade, or how do you trade? I'm feeling like I need to get better at obviously focusing on maximum share size, maximum default on ideas that we like. And I feel like sometimes because of the show, and this is not blaming the show, this is just how it is that we get caught up looking at so many different names that we wind up missing like those bangers, like that Palantir at 975 again today. It went back down into that area. So I'm always interested to see how, especially people that have been watching the show for so long, how they trade, and if they look at the sticky note, or they look at the watch list, or maybe it was a short on a small cap. Hey, maybe Neil, he traded HKD.
Someone in the chat said they no word of a lie, and maybe you did trade HKD.
Was it him?
No, it's somebody different. Someone in the chat actually mentioned that they did trade HKD. Luca hollered it out, so I don't know what time that Luca might have talked about the stock, because I know they talked about the stock a lot in the midday show, but they started the midday show at 11, and this was still at like 90. So I don't know where you're long, but it could have been anywhere from 90. I think they said maybe 100 or something, 100 and something on a dip. So either it was breaking out around noon, or maybe on that pullback in the 20s.
What the hell?
Either way, you literally, there's no possible way it could have got mentioned on the show, and you have either this or anything around here. You pretty much couldn't lose, right? Well, I guess.
Like that just went to
Nah, you couldn't
180
have-
again?
And this stock is insane, man. I don't even
Wow.
have a concept of where this could go.
Let me
like
guess, Fahad's long at $10 or something?
250?
This is
200?
$175 with a couple different alts inside today.
Who's buying this thing up here? Short to cover.
I think that's the. I think
Yeah,
you just
the
answered
short
your
to
own
cover.
question there.
Yeah.
It's like absolutely nobody is buying this thing other than the people that have decided to go short and then eventually get run over. I mean, this is. I believe HKD is what the 1 million share float name here. So whenever you're doing that and you turned over twice today, this name will epically fall. I don't. All we can do is look at charts and give our opinion on these things. This is not advice for anybody that is trying to YOLO anything like this. But when you just can't come to market at $13, which is probably extremely overvalued for this company, and I just say that because most recent IPOs, I mean, again, I shouldn't talk too much about the company. I obviously don't know anything about it. I do know that the spread rate now for 100 share lots is $8. But you can see right now, this name has a lot of movement back in here. But if you're long, you are celebrating today, and congratulations to you on that one, my friends, because this name just continues to work and it's blowing people out again, man. Like if someone said my stop is 180 and it ticks 180, then you market yourself out of this name. Well, even 100 shares blast this name up. So, just be very, very careful if you are on HKD. There it is. Okay, Chef Joe, he's up $5,000 basically on HKD. Should have held.
Buddy.
It's your biggest gain day. So yeah, man, I mean, great trading there, Chef Joe. I wonder where you got in to be up $4,000, but maybe it was a 100 break. Great trade up there to 140. Never, ever on a name like this, Chef Joe, all. Everybody, Neil knows this. Everybody knows this. One of my best days was the DWAC day when I made, forget about how much, but it was a great day, and that just went absolutely parabolic, just like this. But then, as we all know, DWAC is now a $20 name after high ticking at 180, right? So maybe we could just call that up for new viewers here. DWAC, of course, haven't traded in forever, put on NASDAQ there. So it's a $30 name. Didn't mean to insult anybody that says this is this was a $20 name, but let's just check out the daily chart just for this so you can see exactly what I'm talking about and then what can happen after the fact. So there it is right here. And it's actually funny because DWAC actually got the same treatment. Look where it stopped, and for no reason, 180. So it stopped at 175. So here it is. Just consider this an IPO. It was a SPAC, got called out. Donald Trump, the truth came out, right? The truth, not the Truth Social is the website. It was going with DWAC. All of a sudden, people found out about it. It took 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Boom. So on the third day, it hits that 170, and the very next day it opens back up at 92 and has never seen that level again. It saw 92 again right there. It saw 110, but never saw those highs. So just be very wary that this can come back in, just like DWAC. So HKD, congratulations to everybody, but the risk is definitely to the long on HKD.
Yeah, and actually someone in the chat just mentioned that they made a bunch on DWAC and then lost it on Funware. So every time it comes up, I try to remind people that when one of these things halts, those halt rules like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 99% of the time, that's how it goes. And then the one time we saw it on Funware and they halted it for an hour and DWAC started pulling back, they opened up Funware. And I don't remember the exact prices, but if you were long going into the halt, like you had a gigantic winner. You're talking about like making your quarter, making your year, and then by the time they reopened the stock an hour later, you were taking a loss. And that's not fair. There's nothing about that that's fair, but it still happened, and you got to respect it. This is the second time someone's been asked about ATHX, this penny stock, and I'm not. Look, this is very different for a one-day rally than one of these small cap, like new float or new IPO, low float names. But it doesn't mean that there can't be something here. Yeah, it's got a bit of a bounce. It needs to try to hold 30, which has been support before. And then even then, I'm thinking it can get like 50 or 60. Probably more of a day two type play if you're looking at it tomorrow. I think I said this in the chat earlier, basically the same thing. If we close above that 30, it's got some support there. You got some room to run. It actually gave you 10% already if you're just taking this trade. So this should be on the radar for me at least tomorrow. But really, at this point, the volume's died down. It's done $250 million, $250 million, I should say. But the volume you're not even seeing anything on this last little spike. So I don't think it's going to be worth your while trading it going into the close. See, like the spikes, you can't even see them when I pull the chart up. All the volume came trying to take out the highs earlier on. It's been doing weak volume off these 30 levels. So I want to see bigger volume supporting that level, at least for tomorrow. What I am still in here, this Ford. Yeah, it's getting close to that. It's getting close to that 14, but the market keeps getting to the top and pulling back. So I feel okay sitting in it, right? Like if we get to 350 and these imbalances come to the south side when we're at the high of the day, it's like stop 14, stop high a day, Baba. Just make sure we don't take out fresh highs. I think we'll be okay because to me the risk right now, this late in the session, is that we don't take out the highs and that we pull back a little bit, especially given the news that we had. It's been a great relief rally, but we just keep testing and rejecting the highs on the market. I have a 60-minute chart up just to keep it in perspective, but all you got is a wick top and then a still tight consolidation there. So as far as I'm concerned, I do have an Amazon long because I like that dip level price, and it's still managing to hold its recent support, but I'll probably give that up at 80s and only be sitting in shorts.
Yeah, great job, Chef Joe. We're long from 75 there. He just put on the chat. So thank you so much. Yeah, great trade. I mean, 75. See? Unbelievable to make that, and I'm so glad that everyone's having a great day.
You know what's jokes is when I was going back looking at the chart, but the only long I'd be like, I could totally see this risk to reward was really early at 75.
Yeah.
Like that was about it. So that's a great bloody entry, man. Like that's because at that price, given where it was trading, you can at least say you're able to manage risk. The liquidity's not that bad, right in around that 70 to 80 levels we saw yesterday. So good on you for being able to spot a bit of a trade in something that's really tricky to do so, because everyone wants to look at an HKND and think they're going to make a bunch of money on it. But truth be told, most people, you're just not going to be able to do it because the risk to reward is just too much. Like you get into the trade and you can't hold it. And that's the problem. If you can't hold the trade, then who cares if you get the direction right? Tesla's starting to roll back over a little bit here, so forget about 850. You might see VWAP. This will be on the radar, that 850 for tomorrow, but I don't think we're going to get to be able to see that here today, as we're getting some acceleration to the downside. Here we go. It's acceleration to the downside. It is what it is. That's what's going on in the market. And now I'm out of Amazon, and it's only shorts from here on. And this is why I wanted to be sitting in some shorts and almost wanting to find other ones. I'm not saying I want to short Microsoft. Yeah, it's too late.
It's 340 already.
Oh, it's already 340.
Yeah. So,
yeah, there you go.
All right, just a quick update here for those of you. We'll go. We'll drop a little bit of a grenade here. We should be up a lot more on Palantir because there's that 975 that I was talking about that we loved yesterday, that we ran all the way up to 1002 yesterday, and today it even goes further up to 1015. So that sucks because that was the long. But if it breaks back below 1005, we're out of Palantir. Just want to give everyone that. We're up 15 cents on this name, and then really bang goes off on this one, and we'll do a little bit. It hasn't been happening too much today, but we'll spin this anyways, and there it is. If you're going to do anything today, we talked about, I mean, it sucks that Google got taken out at 114, but that is fine by me right now because the day's turning itself around off of some of these shorts. Like, we loved the Apple play. We talked about this. This is what I'm talking about, Dustin, and everybody else, when we talk about trades to be put on and really focusing on names that and reasons why you're in one, right? We got a little carried away this morning with Meta because we just kept digging into that when we should not have. But, my logic behind the Apple trade, I hope that worked for you guys. Qualcomm miss, Apple coming into earnings. It's been on a moon ship to the north side here, unlike anything else in the space. So Apple's really been holding up the NASDAQ. Now you come in with high expectations for Apple. So yeah, we are going to fade this name. I mean, all of these purple ticks right here, Fod, all of these purple ticks are all shorts. So, and we've been hitting it for Apple. Again, long early and wrong and out. Did not even touch it down there. Let it come back up to the upside, and down goes Apple. 80 cents now in the money on this trade great trade down there for me on Apple, really making my day sort of calm down here and back into, a level of satisfaction. So Apple back in, but we just touched that 65 there. Let's put a bid at 70. There it is. Give me that 70, guys. If we can get it breakthrough, it needs to break through most of the time for me to get these fills just because of size and what we're doing there. But let's see if it can come back through 70, hit that, and we'll see if Apple can come back in for us. There it is. Did we get it? Not even yet. Needs to break. I told you, there it goes. So there we go. We now get the fill there as it breaks through. Down with Apple with only 15 minutes to go. I have I see you typing, Brendan, right now.
I have a question I got to ask him.
Okay, I thought it was about that imbalance number.
Oh, sorry. No.
So I'll just read it then. It's 21 million to buy. 21 million to buy. That is not a number. I say that and people are like, oh, is that big? No. We're normally looking at, if I'm going to make a trade based on a number like that, it'd have to be in the billions. So like not even 200 million would be a number at all. I think yesterday's we were at 300, and I don't think it did anything. No. But the number still could come out huge. So let's wait to see what happens. But for now, the early look on that number, and if you guys have a different one, please post it in the chat. We get it from Financial Juice, which is just a Twitter account that's been right. So it's like we're not affiliated. It's just giving you guys sort of where we get it from. So if you wanted to look that up, you could. But 21 billion apparently, which is nothing. Apple trying to turn red.
Yeah, someone put in the chat there, like asking about like AMTD idea group, AMTD.NY, and HKD, because HKD is actually it is AMTD digital. So I'm sure, I don't know the exact nature of any relationship that they have, but I just wanted to make sure if we could find that out, that we would get it to you. I don't know exactly the details there, but AMTD on the NY, not really moving in any way, reflecting anything like that. So I'd be a little bit skeptical when I see it trading, right? I see it trading like that weekly after pulling back. I don't know, 88% stake. If they had an 88% stake, it doesn't make any sense to me that the relationship wouldn't be a little bit tighter than that. When you're looking at HKD, would you believe, actually, so the high of the day on HKD is $199.99.
It just went there, really?
$199
for now.
99. I don't even know what to I can't even. Wow, unbelievable. I keep saying you got to take profit, but I've been saying that since 120, 150, now $200 on HKD. So, okay. Thank you, Brendan. It's one's Hong Kong FinTech, that's AMTD, and HKD listed as a Singapore software firm. So it doesn't look, when you look at the stock, I don't see any relationship that makes any sense to me. But $200 on play here. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I'm not going to do it. Market pulled back, and Baba wants to go higher. So suddenly Alibaba's a little bit strong. So I got to make sure, I'm going to adjust my stop here because we are getting, I was going to give it to 1050. That was a previous support. I'm giving it to that 1030 now. I want to only give it to the top. Because we're getting really close. This is a time of day where I want to tighten stops up, not widen them, just make sure that we're not giving it back. This won't have an imbalance, so there's no point looking at HKD. Microsoft, which was relatively strong there, that's even starting to catch a bit of a bid. If we just pulled a rug, not a rug pull, if we just pulled a fake little pullback and can actually rally from here, then that Tesla 850 could come into play. Microsoft, one of the only names I'd maybe even think about jumping back into the long because of how strong it is. Yeah. Everything else is broken down enough. Amazon, I'd give it up at this point. Even AMD, that's pulled back enough. I don't know if I'd want that one into the long side this late in the session. Things could happen. I think if there's going to be any kind of a surprise buy imbalance, it might just be easier to play the Qs or something like that and go direct to the market instead of trying to trade one of these individual names.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. The only name that I just got into as we were trying to, find out, what's going to happen here with this close, I just got back into Ford on the short side. Now, this is a name that we definitely screwed up today because, we got out there at that bottom break, so we will be, we'll be red for now on this name. Obviously, if this comes back, even just a VWAP, then we'll be close to being green on this name, believe it or not, because we've got some decent shorts off these same levels, man. This is a couple times now that we've shorted this 98. Our best outs were our best outs were 86s down here, but we did get the majority of them out for 90s. So we'll see if that can come into play again here off the close. Our out is above 14. We've talked about that. So we'll engage in the short again. We just got 98s, just as Neil was talking. So hopefully that play will be one that will come out for, or work out for us, I should say, to the downside. So we'll see. I do have some bids at 95. Just take a little bit out, and then, hey, if those imbalances do come sell side, especially on a name like Ford, which here are the imbalances. I always do this to get rid of the NYSE ARCA. And if you are with us here at, oops, that didn't even work. There it is. Now we go okay, and it should get rid of ARCA. There it is. So these have nothing to do with now. You can see the time. Bausch & Lomb was halted. I don't know if it's back open again. It doesn't look like it. Well, we can see. No, so still halted there. Oh, that's
wow.
not BH. Oh,
no, it's a spinoff.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So it is a spinoff there from
it's still halted?
The skies off. Still halted right now. So you could see. That's how you could tell if there's anything halted. It would be on here with the accurate time. So still halted there. But right now we'll wait. Wow, Bausch, big move there. Look at that move. 50% down on different halts coming through on BHC. So, yeah, a little bit of a nasty mover right there. So that's what we're looking for. We'll see if Ford's going to be on here for right now, but it just took down 97, right back to 98. So I feel like there's going to be some strength here in Ford. Again, great quarter for them and cruising, not the GM cruise, but the Ford F-150 and other vehicles there, hopefully bringing Ford to the upside. But until you break 14, I'm going to be short this name, Brendan.
Just more on that BHC story. It was lunchtime, I guess, or late morning, when that halted. There was a patent dispute trial that didn't go their way. So they have come out this afternoon saying they will appeal this decision. On this Xifaxan drug right here, Xifaxan patent litigation. So they lost the case. They're going to appeal, still halted.
Oh, we're going back to the upside. Baba just broke the top. We'll do
Lawyers
this one.
make more money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lawyers make. That's what they do. I mean, ultimately, that's what's going to happen. I'm just surprised that's not. I looked at this morning and thought it would open up later in the day. It didn't happen. Ford could break that 14 even, and then I'm just looking at the imbalances coming in 2 minutes here. Intel reports after market. It's not doing anything right here today. Someone asked what the implied volatility is. Maybe we can try to find that out for you, but not very high would be my answer for you. Because Intel usually isn't going to do some crazy power moves. I mean, the chip bill might matter more a little bit there. Meta, by the way. Yeah, well, okay, I was going to say it's making a bit of a move. It never, this entire afternoon, like it didn't test below that 158. I think that's a pretty good support level for tomorrow. And just sort of throw out what happened in the morning and then just look at this from your 15-minute chart and say, okay, you have yourself a wipeout bottom on gigantic volume, and then you just held previous support on a day where they missed across the board. So, you know, I'll be writing down 157.50 to 158 as a bit of a channel for Meta here. We'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, it looks like it's going to close near those highs. It just broke 160 again. I should be thinking about a breakout trade, but right now I'm looking at the fact that I think we could see like the imbalances maybe surprise to the upside. So I'm going to see if these imbalances come out to the buy side with a lot of big names there. There could be a play there on the Qs.
Yeah, I could see that for sure coming into the close. So, all right, let's just continue to watch out here. Oh, we have the imbalances coming very, very soon. Like we said, Ford is on my mind, but we did take another piece out there on Apple at 90. So just right here, just trying to ease off some of the risk. We only have 30% of this trade left on now, as we have a bunch of outs. Our best out, of course, down there at 60s, which was about 75 cents or so on that short. So only 20 seconds to go, and this is what we're going to be looking at. So let's just call it up right now. Here's the imbalance locator. So I'll pick some names as they come through here, and then we can watch them all together. So right now we have Apple on board, and these imbalances are going to come out in about 5 seconds. So we'll have to just see where this goes and what the market does. So the NASDAQ down, or sorry, up rate. Up there it is. See, it's just a little bit bumpy there, as tons of volume coming in now to Apple, and I'm not seeing anything right now. There it is. Apple's a buy. So there it is. So Apple's a nice buy of 800,000 right there. XOM. So that does shoot Apple up. You can see it just ticked to 157. I'm still going to get out at 157.50 break, I believe. I just put that order in, yeah, because it was a new order for me. So we'll wait to see what's happening right now. But 157.40, 157.50 for Apple. That's a big one. What else is on here? Meta's a buy as well. Ooh, what? Meta up to 160. Wow, we missed that move there off that 157 bottom again. That kind of sucks. Okay, missed that. Intel, there you're talking about that. That's a buy as well. PayPal with the sell. We never got into that. PayPal short at 86.50, 85.50. So that's okay. Other than that, those are your imbalances. And I see XOM as a sell, but Pinterest maybe, Neil. Let's see what that did quickly here. Pinterest. No, that actually goes to the upside.
It's not that big to buy.
It just went to the upside there on that sell imbalance.
What? Pinterest went up on the sell imbalance? Pinterest, Pins next week. I feel like.
Yeah, it's not tonight.
Yeah, not tonight. Not tonight. We'll get to the earnings in a second. I put in the chat there. I got from Brendan some numbers on like implied volatility there. So I hope that helps out. So I mean, Apple is pricing in a move of 4%. Amazon, I think 7% there. Put some dollar values in there to the chat for you guys. It's amazing having Brendan there because I could have tried to go. I probably could have gone online and tried to find it myself. But I wanted to see if we could catch something. Maybe it's an upside surprise. It was a tiny imbalance in either direction. It looks like it's a bit of a buy side for the most part on the big cap name. So I tried the Qs here. It's not really doing much. Like I got 60s. It's at 80s. Not exactly the screaming upside that I might have expected here. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little doubtful. Maybe I should just be taking something out. Yeah, I'd say it's a bit of a disappointment. Like I really did expect, like when you look at what happened this afternoon, that one of two things would be the case, right? Like you make this break, and maybe it'll happen right here. You make this break of the high, you pull back, you hold that support level, and then we're just absolutely screaming. And then when we started to fail, it's like, okay, well either we're profit taking going into the end of the week, or we should be screaming to the upside. As impressive as this rally is, we're not even 1% up on the NASDAQ, which does tell you how weak it was in the morning, but you know, it's only 1%. It feels like there maybe could have been a bit more of a move here late in the day. So I'd call it a little bit of a disappointment here at 350. Took the shot in the Qs. I mean, I'll probably give it a little bit of room, but yeah, just not enough steam on the buy side on this trade, and I guess the imbalances aren't nearly big enough to have us follow through. Pinterest in itself, that's going to pair off. That 1 million, I really don't see that. I don't see that one holding up. Like I kind of feel like that's going to pair off. 1 million to sell isn't that big, but it's only done 8.6. And a lot of times, like that sell imbalance is at the high. If I really thought it was going to stay a sell imbalance on Pinterest, I'd probably be trying to short it off the high of the day. But I'm pretty convinced it's going to pair off. So that's why I'm not really looking at that trade. Sometimes it's what I would do. If it pops in, you have like a top, you can short, anticipating that the sell imbalance gets paired, and then it just kind of mean reverts back to support or like a 19, 15, take a 10-cent scalp trade. I'm not even touching that on pins. It's probably not going to stick around.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Google. I mean, Apple is falling back down. We could just hold that into the close now. It's down to 157 again, so we'll wait for that one to come back in as it's starting to pair off a little bit. Oh, I had Ford. So here's Ford right here as a buy. You know, we did short it right now at 98. And it just touched 14 again, but now it's printing back down to 97. So unfortunately, we are gonna have to start to get out of this because there's only 7 minutes left. So hopefully Ford can collapse, but if it doesn't, you know, I am waiting at 95, like we said there, again for Ford. So down to 95, I mean, that's also where the 50 period is. So if we're lucky enough to get anything down there, then I think that that's gonna be a good trade for us. Apple there with earnings, we just tweeted out like all these trades that we made with all these shorts in here today for Apple. So it's been a good one on the short side with a lot of covers, man. I mean, we have right now 80 fills on Apple today, so it's a lot, and that's just how I trade. We'll see what happens there with the earnings coming, so we're not going to be in this trade as earnings are dropped, so we have to get out of this very, very soon. I don't know if there is. Sharif, is there a time for Apple? Is it 05? Or? Oh, 4:30. So Apple will come at 4:30. So we won't have.
There's spoilers. You've never been able to trade that.
We won't have any calls for you on Apple, but there it is. It's coming to the upside again here.
Yeah, I mean, right at 355, if you guys remember, usually get floor updates, so you get a bit of a spike in volume. Floor updates on the imbalances, right? So you get a spike in volume going into that. I was kind of seeing like, we're rejecting exactly where I'm in on the Qs. Right at that 65, it does look like it's going to sell. I was about to say it was rejecting that price area every single time. I was watching a tape there. Every single time it got to 65, it was rejecting going into it. So someone was dumping right into that 55, and then lo and behold, like right when 55 comes, you get the updates, and just about everything is paired off, and it looks like we're basically that buy imbalance or whatever was left of it is seemingly gone. So we're headed to the downside. I'll have to get on the bid of Ford. At this point, if we get flat, I guess that'll be good enough. The market just not going to be able to get those legs to the upside, but there were some positive signs. We talked about Meta holding up back at 160, holding that 158, so that's a good sign there. All the chip names looking relatively strong. AMD up 2%. Basically, outside of Microsoft carrying the market there. Amazon, some of the big techs obviously carrying the market, but the chips doing their part as well, going to close on those highs. AMD above 90 is definitely a good look. Intel, we'll see. Like, it just they usually are very conservative with their guidance. So you got to put these things into different buckets. I try to separate it, like NVIDIA, AMD, I usually have one thesis and then a separate one for Intel and Micron as well. Just make sure we always have that. And speaking of the earnings, we've got a board. There's more than just Apple and Amazon. A few interesting names to add.
Yeah, I was just double checking, guys. It looks like Intel, Roku, Amazon, typically, Amazon maybe 410, but Intel, Roku, definitely right at 4 o'clock. So there should be a little bit to look at anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if Roku's not volatile, then I have no idea what's going on. Like, that's a name, Kathy Wood named one of their top holdings in ARK, I want to say.
Was.
I don't know if it still is, but anyways, it's one of the top holdings in ARK. And it has just been, like, after getting crushed, you talk about a stock that is just consolidating. Well, it's been consolidating since April. And it's only been making smaller and smaller ranges. So when you see that happen, you do expect some fireworks to get made on a stock, right? This is why it's got to be on your list tomorrow to watch. I'm not going to. There's absolutely 0% chance that I would make a prediction on what the actual earnings would be in Roku. I just know that if it breaks out in either direction, I want to be playing the trend in Roku tomorrow. And I think discovering that trend is the tricky thing. Digest the earnings as they come after market, diagnose the move. We'll be here in the morning to go over it. That's what the process is all about. We'll be in the chat. We'll come at 8:30, and then we'll give you the idea and the game plan for something like a Roku. Because outside of big tech and everything that worked for you today, a few names you want to add to that list. I think Roku, for me, is definitely going to be one. And then everything else will be going back to what we're looking at here today in some of those key levels.
All right, so there it is. We are now out of Palantir there at 12, so that's going to turn out to be a good trade for us. Right there, we had two gateways. We got filled and got out again for flat, so that's going to turn out to be a good trade. Unfortunately, our Ford, we had to get out for the same price we got in at, so nothing burger here on Ford. Was hoping the imbalances would bring it down, but whatever. We were able to make some money back here today on Ford, but still a negative name, but not by much. And then Apple right now with only 2 minutes to go. The imbalances are what they were. They came out $1 billion to buy, by the way. And you could see that did rally the markets a little bit on that, but it initially moved down, and now a nice little move back up. So there goes Apple. I mean, we might as well, let's just get, there we go. We bid and enter. I mean, there's unlimited volume there and liquidity, I should say, not volume. But there we go, out of Apple to end the day with was good. I mean, these were good shorts. That last 30%, most of them out there at 157.10 or so. And that last piece we just get out now because what's the point of having any risk on? I think it was 33s we just got there. So, all right, that wraps it up there. Biden, yeah, he met with President Xi today in China, so I wonder how that went. We'll find out more about that as it goes. I don't say that to be funny. I'm not sure. The market to the upside. I mean, we were looking at BABA. I don't think anything really happened.
No, it actually broke out. You know, I might have to change the thesis. It was good for a lot of days in a row, but today it ends the day relatively strong on Alibaba, and I haven't been able to say that in a while. But BABA has shown me some signs. But it is at $100, and we started this parade at about 107. Under a minute to go.
Yep. Tony
is a man of many talents, and we found out today that one of those talents is kicking butt and taking names while switching the show. Like, I look at that mess of a board up there to, like, make sure we get all the shots on time and getting the audio right. I'm like, there's no way I could do it. I'm not a gamer. But Tony looked at it one time, got a bit of training, was a pro because that's how he does. He's also pretty good at ringing the bell, which he'll do in about 25 seconds. I'm just amazed. Like, the guy always seems to surprise you. At some point, I shouldn't be surprised.
Right, yeah, I ain't surprised about this guy. But Tony, thank you very much for all the work he does, obviously there. There goes Ford. Ford breaking above 14 now, so we did a good job getting out there. As Apple earnings are on deck, and so is the bell with only 6, 5, and it's going to be Tony. There he is. What's up, Tony? Thanks for all the work today. 2 and 1. All right, there it is. Yes, Tony. You know, the best bell ringer in the business, baby.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tony right there. Personally, I don't think Fahad has anything to worry about on the switching board of things over there, but he just has to more worry about Lucas.
Lucas.
He's taking some time off. He'll be around very, very soon, and then we'll get that whole bowling rhetoric. Maybe there's another sport. I don't.
We've thrown some things around here.
Can Lucas shoot free throws? Because that would be something that would be pretty interesting. I feel like, Fahad, can you shoot free throws? Like a 70% clip, or what do you think? 95.
Fahad's game high in high school was 41.
But he didn't tell you that he was playing junior high school.
Look, I'll tell you this right now. If you I don't care what level of where you played your high school ball, but if you dropped 40 in a high school game, obviously you could play. That is not fair to Lucas, so it's got to be.
Just as a free throw. I just want to see like
free throws.
Yeah,
though?
just to see if there's. I mean, Fahad just said in my year that he can shoot 95%. Obviously,
of course
that's
you can't,
not.
Fahad. You can't
obviously,
shoot 95%.
that's not the truth. But I was just wondering if there was
Axe
something
throwing?
that we could come up. Oh, that's what we should do, Maggie. You didn't come last time, but it was a lot of fun. We went to
Whoa, you know what happened? This was, remember you were working in the back office?
Yeah.
And I was still on the trade. I was managing the trading floor. Sean was doing mentoring all the offices.
Yeah.
So technically, it was a back office outing to go axe throwing.
Yeah.
And then no one from the trading floor was invited. So I didn't get to go axe throwing.
Yeah, Amazon is out right now, so the
goodness,
market is
Roku.
going absolutely crazy here on Amazon.
Oh, wow,
Hello, Amazon right now to the upside. Yes, sir. Nice move for Amazon as that continues to go to the upside right now. Amazon blowing faces off right now to the upside. 131, 132. Amazon. I don't know what else I can tell you guys about all of this. Was never a name that I sold. I love Amazon. We talked about the AWS there. Look at Amazon ripping to the upside right now. 133. Amazon is taking names right now. This is well above anywhere where we've seen before on Amazon. Not obviously history, but since the split, man, we had that bottom of 102 about, 4 weeks ago? You're up 30% in 4 weeks. Look at Amazon starting to go back up to the upside, taking out 133. This is the Amazon day chart before today. So here we go. Amazon had that top at 126. We are now in this area, 135. So talk about the gap fill right now for Amazon. Let's see what it can do. Taking out 130 and taking names goes Amazon, guys.
Unbelievable rally to the upside. Roku the other way, by the way, so good company, bad company.
Remember what
Pretty
Daniel
easy to
Shea
see.
said, man. All of these sort of ARC names, and there's no way Kathy Wood would buy Amazon, I would think. But Roku, hold on a second. Do you have Roku up? I mean, we can check that out.
I have Roku, but then, come on.
77?
I flipped to Amazon because Amazon's going nuts, right? Like, one stock I own shares
Roku.
of, one stock I don't. Roku dying because...
Yeah, Roku right here on the daily chart.
$75.
70, if they're lucky right now, 75, it holds. There it comes to the downside, goes Roku right now. Big time movement here on a lot of these names. Wow, there goes Roku down. I mean, this is gonna be, sucks I'm not here tomorrow, but it's great that everybody else is. There it is on the daily chart. Roku was very much barcoding between $100 and 80, and now it's like, nope, there's that bottom of 73. So let's see if that comes into play, but wow. Okay, that's going to be exhausting, needless to say. So there goes Roku, up goes Amazon. This is going to be a great trading day. Bye-bye Roku, $72 now to the downside for that name. So earnings are abound today. It's going to be great to see what Apple can come through with. Man, tomorrow is going to be an exciting day on the show, but stay tuned for the trade of the day. Big thank you to Tony today. Big thank you to Fahad, obviously. Liz, Maggie, I see them there as well. So big thank you to everybody. Katrine, who I don't see, but I did see her today. And thanks to the guys on the midday show, Trader Prad and Luca as well. But let's go to Brendan quickly.
I was just going to mention, guys, Intel as well. Big move down. Lowers full year revenue forecast for INTC getting hit here too.
You knew they would.
No.
I'll tell you this right now.
I don't think people knew they would do this because Intel's
if Micron is going to guide lower, Intel is going to guide lower. It's that simple.
Oh, guide. Yeah. But this is a horrible miss there for Intel, down 7%, man. Okay, wow, this is going to be so exciting. Let's just see what AMD is doing off this move as well. Of course, AMD saying hold my beer. So, all right, that's it, man. We got to wrap this thing up, and we could just go all day because as more and more earnings come through, Roku now touching 70. I don't know. When Brendan does that look, I don't know if he wants to say something or you're... Okay, good. All right, so let's just wrap it up. Thanks, Brendan, for breaking all the news today. It was a big news day. Congratulations to everybody on that HKD, Chef Joe, and everybody at Sinner's Steakhouse. Have a fantastic weekend for everybody here at Trader TV Live. Well, I'm not here till Tuesday, so Arun in the seat tomorrow. Join us then for Trader TV Live at 8:30. Interesting day. Apple's coming in 25 minutes. See everybody on the north side.